This Scotsman has been entertaining the world with his unique approach to trials riding since the early 2000s. Danny MacAskill inadvertently changed the way we look at mountain bikes forever in 2009 when he released his first riding edit inspired bicycles, filmed in his hometown of Edinburgh. The video went as viral as bicycle content ever has, and he stumbled on a career path that would change not only his life, but the content landscape forever. With hundreds of millions of YouTube views on projects that transcended the sport, Danny MacAskill is a global icon in the bike world and has inspired countless minds at what's possible on two wheels.
Life kind of carried on fairly as normal. A few bits and pieces of that kind of allowed me to kind of make enough money to really do it full time from then.
But beyond the viral clips and impossible lines, there's a lifetime of passion, risk, and creativity that's shaped his journey. And through it all, he's remained a humble man from the Highlands who just loves to ride his bike. This is a side of Danny MacAskill you haven't seen before. Gypsy Gang, welcome Danny MacAskill to the podcast.
I met a gypsy.
Danny MacAskill, welcome to Gypsy Tales, mate.
Thanks for having me on.
I'm stoked. This was cool. I think we reached out. You did a trip recently, like within the last couple months. And then you're like, I'm coming back for A1. So
Yeah, I was over in Santa Cruz visiting the Santa Cruz headquarters.
yeah,
For the launch of their new bike, and yeah, it's kind of cool to be back so soon after.
yeah. So what's on this trip? Obviously, you're at A1 on the weekend, but what was I'm sure there's like a more mountain biking reason to.
I was actually here to do some work for Bosch Electronics in Vegas for the CES. So I was just doing some riding on stage, doing the part of their keynote, trying to read off teleprompters and stuff like that. It was pretty funny.
How was that experience?
It was good. Slightly out of my depth. The riding's easy. I mean, I was literally riding my kind of e-bike on stage with not much to kind of ride, but it was good. You know, it's like cool. They're cool folk to work with anyway. So
Yeah, the Bosch e-bike motor is one of the top end motors, right? We did some stuff with Bosch last year, and yeah, like they have some good tech.
yeah. The new Santa Cruz Vala comes with a Bosch motor, which I was pretty stoked with. I've been kind of pining after a Bosch motor for a while because the last ones were a little bit more sensitive to the elements in Scotland. So yeah, so it's kind of all kind of come around well, and so I'm doing stuff with Bosch e-bike, and this was actually for their kind of more sort of global, I don't know what you call it, white goods, everything.
Yeah,
Software.
right. Huh.
Jumping my bike on fridges and cookers and stuff like that. It's pretty funny. But
That's
not
awesome.
not quite the usual stuff, but it was a cool thing to do.
It's one of the cool things about what you do. Like I've known Hans Ray forever, and you go back through the archives of Hans Ray, and you just see he was like, there was this core group of mountain bikers that was like on the mountains and on the hills and kind of like pioneering that scene. But at one point, Hans was probably the most famous mountain bike rider on planet Earth because he kind of did what you did, but it could just go anywhere. Any demo, any kind of on stage and this and that. You could wheelie the bike in morning shows on TV and stuff like that. And seems like that what you do is just so accessible in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the good things about trials. I mean, Hans was very sort of clever with he was there for the sort of dawn of mountain biking as we know it today. All the racing, all the sort of competition side, kind of moved over from Europe to kind of, you could see the opportunity here in the States. But he kind of really understood what it was to kind of make it relatable. It wasn't just about sort of being on the top of the podium. It was kind of about taking his riding and showing, you know, whether it's, I don't know, jumping with Machu Picchu in the background, or there's a famous one of him doing a side up on top of a taxi in New York. Is it New York, or is it actually on the 405? Sorry, Hans, I can't remember. But he was basically doing like they jumped out of a car, I think it was on the 405, and he does a big side up on the roof. But it was enough to kind of make the news, and actually kind of globally. So he kind of was making, at that time sort of viral sort of content or images.
Way before the internet.
Yeah, and kind of really knew how to make the most of his riding. So yeah. I owe him a lot.
He just has had the most phenomenal career too, just in terms of like the length of his career. Like, dude, I saw him at the Death Grip 2 premiere. It was in Laguna. Obviously, he's a Laguna local, but like he's still a part of the mountain bike scene, and he's, you know.
Oh, of course. I mean, he is like the kind of godfather of mountain biking. You know, he kind of gave me some really good advice. I'd say even early on in my career, he's like, never use the word retire. That's what he said. I mean, we're maybe lucky. I mean, he did compete, and of course he was competing in whether it was downhill or trials riding. I don't know if he ever did much cross country, but you know, I thought I've really sort of taken that advice to heart, and I suppose we're quite lucky that we don't actually have to be on the top of a podium
To stay relevant.
Yeah, to stay relevant. But sometimes I kind of look at racers and I think maybe that's a good idea for them as well. But it's hard to kind of fade out, you know, without you don't want to kind of just sort of fade down the roster. But I'd say in this day and age, you can kind of, I don't know. Sometimes if you say you're retired, I'd say it brackets you a little bit.
Yeah.
And people maybe kind of put you on the shelf. Oh, you're great in your day, but you can always sort of move on to, I don't know, do some content. I mean, you're still, you know, half of the racers that retire from downhill are still, you know, top. They're still kick ass on a bike and still look amazing, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But maybe for them, it's also a bit closure, you know, on their career, and they can move on to, you know, maybe it's a bit more family life or business or other things. So
yeah, and I think it might be effective all in, all out.
Yeah.
As well, just because of the mentality that you have to be that top level.
Absolutely.
Racer.
I mean, yeah, for sure. If you're taking like real top racing, it kind of has to go like that. But I think for folk like me, it's if you can kind of play about with different ideas, and yeah, I'm gonna hopefully not have to use the word retire anytime soon.
Well, you're in such a niche space too. I was talking to a friend of mine, Nixon, before, and I told him you were doing the show today, and he actually, it was really cool. He's like, man, that's wild that you say that, because he's got a 7-year-old son. And he's like, over Christmas, we just went down the rabbit hole of Danny MacAskill videos.
Class.
And he's like, man, I wonder if anybody has made more people ride a bicycle. So it's like you're just in this crazy niche where you can be so influential on such a wide net of people. And the stuff that you do is gnarly. And I think you can make it look gnarly. Maybe not gnarlier than what it is. Like, it's obviously gnarly, but you just don't have to be like in this peak shape, doing race runs, flying all over the world. Like, you've just got such a little niche that is the biggest niche in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel very lucky to be doing what I'm doing. I often talk about it in the videos. It's like I try to do these sort of come up with new ideas for tricks or concepts that allow me, you know, to get away with doing some interesting stuff on my bike. But then when it comes to the actual tricks themselves, I try to almost do the smallest version of that trick. So the safest and smallest version of it just has to be kind of a bit more original. But I don't envy the guys and girls that have to be on the start line or be in a start gate at a certain time on a certain day, any weather conditions depending, and having to put on their total best show alongside shoulder to shoulder with other people that are trying really hard as well. So I mean, it's a totally different mindset. I mean, I suppose not everybody can also do what I'm doing, but I think there's a lot of room for a lot more people to be doing sort of the content side and sort of playing around.
Yeah, you don't, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't have that much competition in the space, really. Like, you've kind of become the guy.
Well, I mean, there's definitely other riders. Of course, you've got like folk like Fabio Wibmer who've taken.
True.
He's like the kind of, you know, like it's like, well, there's riders of course in between me and Hans Ray, heroes of mine like Martin Ashton, Martin Hawes, Ryan Leach, all those guys, and then Fabio's kind of taken the sort of the reins of like really taking how much can you go, you know, with the internet and building channels and building brands with it. Whereas I've just kind of had my slight sort of bike shop mechanic mentality a bit, and just it all just seems so kind of funny that it's gone the way it is. And I enjoy still making the videos with my friends, but I'm not necessarily like the
gnarly brand building guy.
Yeah, I've never really felt it. I just like to ride my bike for myself a lot when I'm home, and then kind of come up with some fun ideas and sort of go and do them with my pals. And luckily I've got sort of brands that'll helped me do that stuff as well. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, there's a lot of younger up and coming talent. You've got some really cool riders from Japan. There's a lot of guys in Europe, few folk in the States, but trials has always been quite sort of small, I would say, over here. I don't really know why that is, but
yeah, I wonder too. Like, I mean, I remember being a kid in Australia watching SBS. The Trials World Championships were always on, and you'd get a lot of the DVDs that would come out in the magazines, and you get like Trials DVD, and it was just all Europe.
Yeah,
gnarly. Like some of the shit that those guys do on the moto side in Trials as well is just crazy.
Oh yeah, the motor Trials is really. I mean, I love it. I love watching it. You've got, of course, riders like Toni Bou taking it just to the stratosphere of what's possible. I would actually love to watch Toni Bou. I mean, the one thing I think the world needs is Toni Bou working on like a 6 months, a year's worth of like conceptual project of showing how amazing it could be. Because I mean, if you ever watch him on Instagram,
go find him on Instagram. How do you spell it?
Toni, Tonibou, I think. It's been a while since I've actually had to type it in. He's just all over my feed.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean,
this is who I thought we were talking about.
I mean, it's just, if you ever get on one of these bikes.
It's so hard to do.
I mean, this is what we kind of ride. The only moto I ride back home is, I mean, I'd say this style. I look nothing like this. Mine's more kind of going up some dirt banks and playing in some rivers and whatnot. But
dude, on a downhill,
it's just unbelievable.
How much inspiration do you get from this kind of stuff?
It's hard. I think his riding and the sort of traditional bicycle trials is really.
Oh, dude. That's so sick.
It's very. They're very comparable, especially what Tony's doing now on the bike. I mean, friend of mine, Dougie Lampkin. He really dominated the sport for years and years, but it was a slightly more flowing style than Tony's kind of taken this sort of back wheel hop, and I mean, really just makes it look like he's riding a bicycle. That or something.
Is very.
I mean, that is just unbelievable. That's just cruising up like a 5-foot step off the back wheel. As I say, when you get on one of these bikes, you soon realize how superhuman he is. So, but yeah, I do take a lot of inspiration, but I just love to watch it. I just think, it's just cool to, it just blows your kind of mind. So yeah.
Before I get too deep into your world, you're a moto fan, obviously. Like, are you following Supercross every kind of weekend, or A1 was just like, I'm here, I got to go?
I would say I dip in and out of Supercross for sure. I'm not the kind of person that's watching it as religiously as some of my friends. The guys I ride with back home on the e-bikes, they're all really big into it, and it's always kind of buzzing through the group chat, making sure when I was at the Supercross not to give anything away because they're going to watch it when they woke up. So, but yeah, I kind of just follow a wee bit. I follow a wee bit on Instagram and bits, and I find it pretty mind-blowing. So yeah.
What did you make of Saturday?
Oh, it was awesome. It's the first time I've been in one of the stadiums since 2011. I think the last time I was in Anaheim. And it's just some show that's put on. It's just dialed, from, I don't know, I thought it was really quite exciting. It was exciting seeing some of the top lads having a spill and then coming back through the field. It made it pretty exciting to watch. So yeah, just mad. It's just so chaotic. I'm kind of like, I follow like the downhill mountain biking probably the most. But because it's a time trial, I don't know, there's a few less variables on track compared with racing elbow to elbow for 20 minutes at a time or whatever it is. So, yeah, fair play.
Bit of bench racing. Like, what do you think title wise? Like after seeing A1, what are you thinking for the title?
What
were your takeaways?
I don't know. Takeaways. I mean, young Deegan is just like a kind of action hero, isn't he? He's kind of having like just this surreal time. It's pretty mad watching him in action. So I don't know. He's probably going to be doing pretty well. And then, I don't know. I don't feel up in it enough to really make any big calls. I mean, it'd be cool to see Tomac, as he's kind of. There seems to be a lot of chat about him coming into the last few years of racing or whatever. So it'd be quite cool to see him have a good season, and then the young Aussies seem to be doing pretty well as well, don't they? So
Yeah. I think they look like they struggled with the bike like all day. I mean, Jet was, I feel like Jet rinsed his quali lap and just got everything out of it that he could. And he was like, just not enough. Were you there for quali? Did you get to see the last session?
Yes. The heats, like the no.
Through the day,
I'm just showing my ignorance here. No, we kind of got in just before the heats, I think. So
yeah. Well, he basically Jet has he's an artist of just timing a run so that he's the last dude to do a lap, and he gets in his last lap. Eli's on the top of the board, and everyone is just like watching to see if he was going to get it. And he comes around, made a big mistake before the finish. So he might have got it, but he lost traction on the last turn, went over, stayed in second, and the crowd was just like losing it. There's like a quarter of the stadium had kind of come in. And so I was like, well, this is like, I don't remember the last time Tomac was fastest in both sessions.
Okay.
So I'm bummed that he went down in the main because that was going to be a battle.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing seeing him just absolutely hammering through the pack like an animal.
He is, dude. Like it was sick. But yeah, you're right about Deegan, Like he's just having like a wild run where it's like almost like a character.
Yeah.
Like, is he real?
Yeah,
like, is he really this guy?
I know. Especially coming up in this like modern era as well, like, with all your social media and playing all that game as well. So yeah. Fair play to him.
Yeah. What do you do much moto back home, or it's just trials basically?
Motor trials, like that's the I'd say in the Scottish culture, the motor trials is probably the biggest. We have like a thing called the 6-day trial over in Fort William.
Yep.
It's been going for like 100 and something years, 20 years. I don't know if it's as long as that, but it's kind of in the burns and streams, kind of classic trials stuff where you just have to get between the flags. Not that I'm doing it personally. Quite a few friends have done it, but we kind of ride. Pardon me. We kind of ride that style of riding back home and just play about. I don't think there's many sports that you can make such a, I don't know, it's like the terrain that we kind of ride in is pretty useless to most other type, anything else. And there's, like a wet, boggy hillside stream. The trials bikes are pretty perfect for it. And in the wintertime, it's pretty nice having the old manifold to warm your hands as well. So it's a good Scottish sport, winter sport. So.
Do you get much snow in Scotland in the winter?
We get a wee bit.
But it's just wet and damp.
It's just kind of just like it'll be cold for a few days and then a big warm front comes in, thaws it out. It's just constantly between 5 degrees plus and 5 degrees minus kind of thing. So
yeah. Did the skills translate a lot to the bicycle, do you think?
I would say most people ask if my bicycle skills, because of course that's what it's transfer onto the moto, and I think they would a little bit, and maybe kind of like if it comes to trying to do like the more kind of steppy side, a good run up. I don't mind having a crash, but I've still got a long way to go before I'm anywhere near what I would call myself even a moto trials rider kind of thing. So
yeah, but it's not necessarily like it's something that directly kind of helps with the.
No, the motor trials, I'd say if you're riding in the burns, or the rivers, you kind of go up these sections and they're pretty heavy in the arm pump.
Yeah.
So if you did quite a lot of it, then you'd probably feel a little bit better on the e-bike or something if it's doing lots of descending after that. So, but I wouldn't say I just play on all of them. I'm not looking for gains in any of my riding really. It's all just like
just
playing.
Purely for fun.
Yeah.
What's the most mountain biking you do? Is it just like enduro, e-bike, enduro kind of stuff? Yeah,
in the last 4 years, my riding's definitely kind of shifted over. 2020, I kind of moved out of Glasgow, where I've been living for 10 years, and I was doing loads of trials, bicycle riding. I just go out on this little 24-inch carbon Santa Cruz trials bike that I have, and I just go out for 3 hours, play on the walls here, jumping some stairs there, and it was more like going out for a run or something like that. But in 2020, I kind of moved further north in Scotland and into the countryside a little bit more. And that's when Santa Cruz kind of brought out their first e-bike also. So my riding, I've really fallen for how good e-biking is.
It's the best.
Yeah. We've got like the right to roam in Scotland as well. So we've got really open access to all the mountains and hills within reason and respect.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got so many amazing hillsides to go ride in. There's so much exploration to go and do, especially if you could put multiple batteries in your backpack. You can go off and do, I don't know, like if every battery's like at least 3,000 feet of climbing, then you've got a lot of riding to do out there. So yeah, love it.
Dude, that's where my family heritage is.
Oh, yeah.
And I went there, I can't remember the year, maybe it was like 2015 or something like that. But it was just, I don't know whether it's because I'm like from there and I'd never been and there was a bit of like the sentimental kind of value there. But dude, we were in the UK we were following around a couple of bands like Bring Me the Horizon and like so we were doing some filming and they did a tour all through the UK. Then they did Glasgow and Edinburgh. And so we basically got a rental car and we just drove all the way to the end of the road in like the north.
Oh yeah.
And then just all the way back down. And
Plus.
It was crazy, dude. Like just getting out and just stopping and like looking from the road, not even adventuring, off the beaten path. And I just could not believe the beauty of the landscape and just like how it's like big and vast. And, you get those times where you look at something and it almost just makes everything kind of stop. Like you're just so drawn into the size and it just feels old. And it was like honestly one of the coolest things I've ever done in my life was that drive.
That's nice. I come from like the north of Scotland, the Highlands of Scotland they're called, and it definitely, it's quite nice when the population starts sort of dwindling. The further north you go, the less people it tends to be.
Yeah, there's no one there, right?
Yeah, and it kind of turns into, it's not a desert landscape, but you kind of start getting less trees. You got a lot more heathery rolling hills and stuff, but that stuff's all there for the exploration on the e-bike these days. I've really been sort of checking out Google Maps or checking out all the Ordnance Survey maps, looking for all the kind of estate or deer stalking tracks that go off. Anything basically where like an ATV or an Argo Cat or something like that's been up, or not even. By the time you get up a certain height on the mountains, then the vegetation kind of stops growing, and then you can just cruise around all these ridge lines and stuff. So it's all this kind of new terrain. It sort of feels like a new sport for me, the e-bike. So
it's almost like backcountry snowboarding in a way.
Yeah, it is a lot like that actually. You can kind of just, I quite like going out by myself with my headphones in, and looking for new routes. And then if it's crap, then it's all right. It's just me that has to sort of suffer my way through it. But if it's really good, then you can take your friends back up there as well. So it's kind of a new era of exploration back home. So,
have you got any footage of it on your Instagram or anything?
I think I do a wee bit. I kind of
keeping it on the down low.
Yeah, it's funny. It's actually quite funny when you. I'm in a sort of funny situation with the stuff where I'm kind of
trying to keep it a little bit quiet.
Yeah, it's like when you're onto a good thing personally, you're like, and occasionally, this is up close to my house. This is like a downhill track, riding with my good pal Kent Gallagher. Cool thing. I now live up in Inverness, and there's just so much good riding up there. I kind of feel like I'm
blowing the spot out a bit.
No, it's like being 18 again, and I kind of moved to this new area about 2 years ago. Yeah, kind of got all these new pals, and my riding's much more social than it used to be. It used to be kind of me going out riding my trials bike by myself, playing, more than happy, and then I would hang out with my friends out with the riding. But now I'm up in Inverness, then there's always somebody to go riding with every day, so it's good. I feel like I go wingsuiting or something.
Really?
I'm not used to this much adrenaline. I suppose like you guys are used to it from moto.
Yeah.
But on the trial side, it's much more like methodical. I don't know how you describe it. It's just like a game. You make little puzzles and try to solve them,
Yeah.
Whereas when you drop into a trail, it's like 2 minutes or 3 minutes of just like
You're gone.
It's just like there's much more information. It's all you need to do is just not be on the brakes for like half a second, and you'll soon find the edge or the limit. So it's pretty. When you get good at it, which I've definitely had enough experience now to be half decent, then it's a pretty cool feeling. But yeah,
man, we so where I'm living now, we've got some trails like right behind us, like in all that Laguna.
I was there yesterday actually.
Oh, sweet! Did you ride the Laguna trails?
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
Yeah, it was amazing. Pretty slippery. Like I'm used to the opposite.
Because it's dusty and dry, right?
Yeah,
now.
I rode with Cam Zink
Sick.
and Gaspari from Crank Brothers. Oh, they had a broken wrist, but a few of the local crew there, and it was awesome. Really cool. I mean, just a beautiful. I mean, what a place to
Wild, eh?
to have trails. You're descending down into the sunset, and it was class. But definitely the opposite end of the spectrum from what I'm used to. I'm used to kind of sloppy, muddy, rooty. But it's kind of a lot of loam as well. But it's like a bit of an acquired taste. But then I think Laguna and at this time of year is also that kind of same thing where it's down to that kind of hard pack.
Oh, it's
stuff.
just concrete. Eh?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, I was like, well, I'll just not push too hard today and just enjoy the views. Really watch the locals absolutely send it over these rocks, and but yeah, really cool.
Yeah,
cool.
So I haven't been able to ride those trails yet, but I've just been staying around like the San Clemente kind of trails, and bro, the difference. I was talking to a mate who he's in Idaho now, and he's probably going to move back. And I'm just like sending him these like the sunset pictures.
Yeah.
Like leave the house at 3:30, ride up the hill, put in an hour of power on the e-bike. You're not killing yourself. You're not killing your legs. You're just getting a lot of descending time. And I grew up riding mountain bikes before moto, and so that feeling of just being a kid, talking the whole way while you're pedaling up, sending it down, and just like finding where are we gonna ride today? Right, go down and. Man, it has just been the funnest. Like, I haven't even been riding moto for a while because I've just been like, it's right there. It's in the backyard. It's so easy. It's such like a small lift compared to loading up the bike, driving to the track, paying the fee. There's a million people there. Like, it's just, I feel like I resonate with the wave that you're on.
Yeah, I mean, that's funny. I mean, I could literally talk about e-bikes all day.
Well, we got time.
No, it's completely changed my sort of outlook on even the world. Like how I look at all the mountains that are on the horizon, because I used to have that when I'm in a city, then you naturally kind of ride everything in your sort of mind's eye. Even if it's unrealistic, you might even gap between like proper kids kind of stuff, but you sort of size everything up and you imagine what you could be doing. Within mountain bikes, it was a bit like that, but you'd be thinking, well, that's a long walk. It's a long walk in Scotland, especially. It's like really soft and boggy and hard to kind of get anywhere. So you're like, oh, I've got to hike a bike to the top of that, and would the descent be worth it? Whereas with the e-bike, it kind of although it doesn't give you a loads more power, it is a big difference, and you can kind of actually ride to the top of these mountains. So it's as I say, it's completely changed the way I kind of look at the terrain around like my house or around the whole world, I suppose. So
yeah, and I think the thing for me, especially, like, I just don't care to be like the fittest dude. I've got no ego around pedaling my bike. I'm there for fun. That's it. All I want to do is I want to go out. I want to be able to ride every day. Don't really care that I'm not getting like the maximum workout. Like, all that to me is just like the most lame ego riding perspective. And like, if that's the perspective you want to take, like, all good. I just ain't in it for that.
No, I'm exactly the same. Never really been competitive. I like the way you can kind of it's drawn loads of friends that you might not have normally ridden together with. Especially, I'm lucky to have a few spare bikes. So when I go back to the Isle of Skye at Christmas time or something, then I bring my spare bikes and I can take my school friends that don't even ride on these like epic mountain adventures. Because there's, you choose. I don't like to scare folk either, but you just want to make sure that people are having the best time, and with the power of those bikes, you can really take them into some really cool places. So
Yeah.
love them.
And even like for my dad, like you get people that it's past their like prime season of physicality in their life, and I can ride with my dad, or like you have friends that come. It just completely removes the barrier of entry from mountain biking. And to be fair too, like I am getting a good workout. Like, am I getting as good of a workout? No, but I'm also never going to go do that. So I'm never going to get that anyway.
Yeah, 100%. I think, because a lot of people are kind of unwilling to maybe come from the mountain bike side over. I totally get it, because some people like to, I mean, if that's what they do instead of having to go to the gym, I'm like, fair play. You can go and suffer away like on your mountain bike. I'll go and do extra laps, but I feel like the e-bikes are definitely going to draw a lot more people into the sport, because there's quite a high barrier to entry depending on what terrain you had nearby. Whereas with these bikes, you can really, I don't know, it does make it a lot more accessible, a lot more fun to get into. So, and then if you treat your e-bike like I do, the same way I treated my mountain bike, if I want to go out and, really be going until I'm done, until until it starts getting dangerous, until I'm like, burst, then sometimes like having multiple batteries or battery extenders to really kind of allow you to do that. And if you've got loads of battery, then you can always do a few turbo laps to really finish it off as well. So, yeah, love it.
What model have you got?
I've got Santa Cruz Vala. It's like their newest iteration of their e-bike.
Is it it's a full size or a mid size?
Full size, but with a Bosch CX motor and 600 amp hour battery, and you can put a wee extender on it that clips on. Yeah, I've got the green one, and it's pretty kick-ass, I have to say. I love it.
It's crazy the way that really doesn't look like an e-bike either.
Yeah, I mean,
when they first came out, they were just so big.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the mountain bikes that have gotten chunkier as well, so the kind of difference between the two is harder to tell. So, and I think, I mean, even on the descending side of things, I actually find the weight pretty confidence-inspiring.
I agree.
You can kind of muscle, because you've got, I suppose you're not using as much energy to get to the top of your legs, but you can muscle them around like anything, and just, big tires, big brakes are important, and away you go, really. So, yeah.
No, dude, I agree. Coming from moto too, to feel the extra weight. So I had the YT decoy, which is like the full size one, and it's like pretty chunky, and it's heavy. And then I just got the mid size one.
Oh yeah,
dude. The first day I rode the mid-size from the full-size, I was like, holy this is actually a really big difference. So to then go to like a normal mountain bike, it was just like I was oversteering, overturning.
Oh, you found it harder?
Way harder.
Yeah, I'm with you. If I ever get back on the mountain bike,
it's way harder.
It feels so sketchy. That's the hilarious thing. I feel, people talk about being able to flick around and stuff, but I don't really ride like that anyway, to be honest. I'm a bit more of a try to ride as fast as I possibly can down the hill all the time. And you can, of course, do the jumps and gaps and take your lines, but I tend to just try to follow. Like a few of my friends race World Cup downhill, or they're ex-racers as well, so they know how to ride. So I try to just sort of tail them down the hill and learn a thing or two every time. So. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, no, I noticed that. I mean, it's not bad, but I just noticed a huge difference. I was like, wow, the bigger, heavier bike is just so much more planted, and it feels like to do. So there's obviously your local trails, right? Like you just know your lines. You just do it pretty much the same every time. Just none of it worked. I was a mess. Like the turn, I'd be ending my turn 10 feet before the end of the turn because you put in the same like level of, like you said, muscle into it, and I was just oversteering. Like I was out of control. It felt like. So yeah, like it was very interesting to feel that extra weight. I think especially coming from moto too, and it's like it's not like I went from normal bike to e-bike. It was like moto to e-bike to then a smaller e-bike, and as you go down and the weight drops down, it's just like you feel a huge difference.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you ride with other motors before you rode with the Bosch motor?
Yeah, I was on the previous bikes had Shimano motors.
And you could feel a huge difference in the Bosch motor?
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely kind of like a sharper sort of pickup. Reliability is a big one for us back in Scotland. We were pretty much riding through rivers and bogs, and so previous motors maybe had a few more issues with, let's say, and my friends that were on the Bosch, they were much more reliable. So I'm pretty stoked to get onto that system, especially the new one. They've kind of just upgraded to the new CX motor, and it's got less things to go wrong with it. You know, less cables going through the frames, less speed sensors. It's like a few more Bluetooth things that are pretty flawless so far anyway. So, yeah.
That's what I was wondering. Like, what do you think that they can do in the future on those kind of motors? Like, what would you want for the stuff you do?
I think, I think the whole bike world would love to see a gearbox of some sort. I know Pinion, I think, I've got something like, there's a German brand that have some kind of gearbox, but I don't think it's quite right. And there's a little bit of loss or inefficiency with these things, but if you've got an e-bike a sort of motor to power that stuff, then it'd just be so much more simple than having a big chunky rear mech hanging off the back of the bike, going through the bushes and whatnot, heather. So maybe someday that would make a big difference. And I always joke. I mean, in Scotland, we're riding in the rain and the rain and the mud most of the winter, and in summer you still get a fair bit of it. I'd love to kind of sort out some kind of rear mud guard. It's just hard to do it, make it look good. I mean, Moto makes it, they get away with it. It's meant, I ride my Motor Trials bike through the puddles and you're like, oh, this is quite luxurious. I'm not getting sprayed up. Sprayed up the back the whole time. And you kind of think, well, I could afford to have a little bit extra weight on these bikes. As you say, they're already sort of planted and they feel great. Like an extra few hundred grams for a rear mud guard would go well. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Does Santa Cruz get you involved in much of the production or like the R&D type stuff? A
little bit. I mean, I tend to kind of get the bikes and I'll try and find the flaws when they come out. I mean, we did a lot of R&D for my little trials bike that I've got. They basically, Santa Cruz custom made me like a full carbon trials frame, forks and wheels. It was like a kind of engineering project for them to do in-house. They built this new facility to test all their carbon parts. So it was really sick.
That is sick.
I mean, I don't know how much. If you looked at per frame cost, it would be insane amounts of money.
Yeah, because they'd have to they got to do molds and they got to do everything.
Yeah, and all the engineering time that's going in. I mean, these are the guys that should be sort of designing and building their next iteration of like. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And here they are building my little trials bike in the lab. So it was really a really cool project. Although I'm the person that has to test it, which is kind of scary at the same time, But also, I mean, Santa Cruz know what they're doing. Like really well. I mean, the frames are pretty damn solid. I mean, I've been riding Santa Cruz since 2014.
That's what I was going to ask, how long you've been with them.
Yeah, 2014, and honestly, actual frame breakages in all the films that I've done, I think I cracked one brake mount, but the bike had done like 3 different films, did some stuff for X Games, did some stuff on Sky, and another one for Endura. So it was, I mean, they're very, 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 they're kind of overbuilt, but that's why they can kind of give such good warranties and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. When we had Nico Mullally on the pod, I was asking him like off camera what he thinks are the best bikes that are like actually, I was talking about downhill because I was like, I wouldn't mind getting another downhill bike. Like I actually want to do one of the nationals. I haven't raced since I was like literally a teenager. I was like, fuck, it'd be pretty sick now to just go back and do one for fun, And he was saying there's a couple brands where the World Cup bikes are basically the bike that you buy. Everyone else they're making them kind of different. Mm-hmm. And then they're just not competitive. Like the stock bike wouldn't be competitive. And Santa Cruz was one of the ones where he's like, yeah, that's actually a bike that is pretty much the same.
Yeah, the V10s they've had many years of development, haven't they? But I would actually love to ride one myself. I've actually never ridden one of the modern V10s. I mean, back home there's only a couple of hills that you can actually get shuttle on, and the rest of the time, that's why I love the e-bike so much. You can just self-shuttle everywhere. Yeah. They're just the best. What I'd actually love to Santa Cruz to do, I mean, I keep talking about it to them, but I'd love them to basically take a V10 and whack a dropper and a motor onto the bottom. I mean, the V10 design would be kind of tricky, the way the seat post is and stuff, but something like that, 200mm travel, full downhill e-bike would be the absolute ticket. Oh,
with a gearbox.
Yeah, with a gearbox. I mean, I would take it without a gearbox now, you know.
Just to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, just to get the ball rolling. But triple clamps. Oh,
pull up the V10. Like,
that'd be so
where's
good.
Because that's the problem with the seat post, really, to get a dropper in, right?
Yeah.
The V10 is hard.
It's a bit tricky, isn't it?
But I wonder if you could like offset it though. Like, can you offset the suspension?
I mean, to be honest, I kind of pedal around my e-bike with my seat right down anyway. That's when I know my friends. I mean, not all the time, but that's when I know my friends have really become. They've come from MTB, and when I see them going up the fire roads just with their seat down, just cruising up in like EMTB or Boost or whatever, that's when I'm like, yeah, that's it. You've come over to the dark side fully here. You know, just talking away as you're just cruising back up to go and do another lap. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it would be pretty cool to see some of the brands making like the fastest. You know, going out to kind of make what would be like if you're going to go and like the fastest sort of possible iteration of an e-bike down the hill. I mean, the Bullet, not the Nomad's the MTB, but the Bullet's pretty damn capable. But it'd just be quite interesting to see what an extra 20mm of travel and a bit slacker geometry and a little bit, I don't know, just really, really dedicated to like
going quick.
Yeah, racing kind of quick. Well, love them anyway. So.
Well, even Jackie Goldstone, like he's such a light dude.
Oh yeah.
So just chuck a fucking motor in the bottom of that thing, center of gravity way down low in it, and it's like, I mean, obviously you wouldn't be allowed to race it, but like, what could that kid do?
Well, I know.
Seeing what he can do now.
Watching him ride one of these bikes is just unbelievable. The level's definitely just well, I suppose it's the same in any sport, but it's just going up and up. Exciting to watch.
Man, the downhill mountain biking now is like fucked up. When you watch what those guys are doing, the level that they're on now, it's one of the gnarliest sports in the world, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it is a mad sport for sure. Seeing the sort of the young guns coming in and just putting it all out there. Jackson Goldstone. I can't even think right now. My mind's gone blank of all the different names.
I'm missing one.
Ronan Dunn.
Ronan, that's who I was thinking.
Yeah, those two.
Dude, he is gnarly, bro.
You got Pirion as well, a wee bit older, but he's kind of still running the gauntlet. So, that's out of all the racing, all sports, it's about the only one I really sort of keep up with. For every race. So, yeah.
Do you like
a lot of respect.
The changes that they made?
Oh, to be honest, I'm actually not entirely kept up with all. I mean, it's hard when, you know, things have always got to change at some point, and there's always a lot of moaning and grumbling. But I think it sounds like there's going to be loads more races around the world. Might be harder to kind of be in the actual World Cup races, but I hear there's going to be other stuff going on. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Hard to say yet.
Yeah, but no, I mean, just the level. Like, even like Reese Wilson, you know, you watch some of those guys and, and it was always gnarly. But I just think now it's just on, because I guess you look at like a Jackson Goldstone, like just grew up in a bike park. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like, think about what you make up in the years, but of like 5 to 13 or 14. Like, I think I was 14 when I got a downhill bike. And it's like, if you've got a kid that had, or not a downhill bike, but like was just doing gravity-fed mountain biking at 5, 6 years old.
Totally.
Like, dude, there's 9 years of development there. So it makes sense that generation is just doing shit that...
Yeah, totally. And they're also I always find it quite fascinating to watch, like, what are this sort of new Instagram or YouTube age where they've had this stuff on tap, seeing all their, you know, classic chat, but, you know, you had to wait for the like one video that came out a year that would show the kind of downhill season, or a couple of vids that come out a year that had a little bit of trials, all that stuff. But now it's just like a fire hose of whatever hero you have.
Yeah, whatever niche interest.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
into.
You can be into it and learn from sort of watching. There's so much how tos, all that kind of stuff. So we're kind of seeing the maturity. What's the right word? We're just saying, what it's like for all these young guys and girls to
grow up with that at their fingertips.
Yeah, so yeah.
Do you go to Fort Will every year for the race?
I have done almost every year since 2002, but
Sick.
this year is not on actually. So yeah, it's the first year it's not going to be there. So kind of a shame.
Way.
So it was a really cool thing for me growing up. I started working in a bike shop when I left school, and it'd be a very cool thing for me to be able to go to these races and see my heroes from the magazines and whatnot at an event that was kind of close to my home, because I'm in Skye. Skye's fairly out there, and to have all the kind of world's best racers coming up all the way up to the Highlands of Scotland to race was sick. So yeah, it'll be a shame, but same. It has also been there for a long time, and no harm in a bit of change.
Yeah, and I'm sure it'll just make it better when it goes back, I'm sure too, like a lot of times, don't know what you got till it's gone kind of vibe.
Totally. So, yeah.
Has Scotland changed much over the last, 15 years?
Yeah, I come from the Isle of Skye, northwest of Scotland, probably one of the most famous parts of Scotland. I'm not biased, but I think it actually is, just for the scenery. It's kind of used in a lot of films and whatnot, the Old Man of Storr, the Cuillins.
Yeah.
Elgol, all that kind of thing. But I'd say the island has changed a lot. I think Instagram has just changed everywhere. I think holiday makers have become much more focused on going and getting their holiday pictures.
Getting the shot.
Yeah, getting the look how good a time I'm having shots. And I think that's completely changed everywhere. I was even seeing in Las Vegas. I hadn't been there for a wee while, but seeing how much that place has changed into, I don't know, it's just everywhere. Seems any sort of scenic point of interest is much busier because of it. So, yeah.
And it changes the feeling of the island in a way?
Yeah. But I suppose between Instagram, Airbnb, of course, has also completely changed the vibe as well. There's a lot of schools have closed all over the place because of, the houses in the area are all become holiday lets. So there's no families to kind of fill the schools. So, but again, it's just change. The island really relies on tourism to, the whole economy there really depends on tourism. So it's hard. It has changed quite a lot. Certainly in the last 10 years. So yeah.
Man, Edinburgh is one of the most beautiful cities in the world, eh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool.
That blew my mind being there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a cool. I lived there for 4 years or something like that. I used to just cruise around Danny MacAskill, all around it, doing tricks on my trials.
I was going to say, it's probably good riding there.
Yeah, it's quite good. Not the best, not compared with a proper industrial kind of city.
Yeah.
But in the European cities, they're pretty dialed. It becomes a little bit more clear how dialed they are compared with. LA is like this. It's a big sprawling place, and it's hard to even get anywhere without getting in your car. Whereas when I lived in Edinburgh, you didn't even need a car. You just cruise about in the bike, and then I just get the train up to Skye when I went home and stuff. So yeah, bit of a different scene.
Crazy place though.
Yeah,
just like that Edinburgh Castle, and then the whole town that sort of surrounds it. We had one of the best meals of my life.
Oh,
at some old pub that was just had just lamb shanks.
Oh yeah,
and I was just like, fuck off. This is insane. I think the pub was 500 years old or 400 years old or something. And I was just like, this place is actually insane.
Yeah, it is nice. Oldie worldy,
Yeah.
Oldie worldy. So
big contrast to Glasgow.
Yeah, Glasgow's much more post-industrial.
Yeah.
The planning. City planners kind of let things run wild for a while there as well. So there's a lot of kind of old 70s concrete, crumbling concrete, but it's got character as well. Of classic kind of comparison between the kind of Edinburgh's a little bit more sort of high end and Glasgow's a bit more authentic.
It felt rough too at night.
Yeah, but then I rode in Glasgow for sort of 10 years or more. I'd be out at night time myself on the trials bike, and never once did I ever get feel even remotely sort of threatened by anybody. Most people have kind of got a bit of crack, as we say. They have good crack. That's the sort of term they use back home. That, they're usually, especially if I'm doing skids and wheelies on my bike, they're usually a bit more interested in watching me doing the actual moves rather than trying to take it off me. So
yeah, that's so good. Yeah. So when did the bikes become a career for you? Like, obviously you were doing it a lot as a fan of, you know, riding, working in a bike shop, but when did the career element develop?
So I started making some money from riding my bike around 2006 or 2007.
Pretty early.
Yeah, I started, I was working in a bike shop at the time. Was I even, sorry, Barney. Say, when I was working in the bike shop, I started doing some shows for the Forestry Commission, which is like a government-run commission that look after the forests in Scotland, or I think all over the UK. And they had a small sort of show team that would sort of take to different events, and we'd do, you know, like we had some friends that were doing some dirt or jumping some wooden ramps, and I would ride on some platforms doing some trials. And so I'd kind of do that often at the weekends, using my holidays from work. My boss was really cool about allowing me to kind of go off and do these shows whenever they kind of came up. And then in the kind of that got to a level where I was pretty much able to take the sort of summer off from the bike shop and do shows kind of full time. And then between 2008 2009, I went back to work in the bike shop in the wintertime, and my friend Dave Sowerby, who's a really good BMX filmer, big part of the BMX world. I was staying in a flat with him at the time, and he offered to make a video of the kind of riding I was doing in Edinburgh. And I kind of really took that as I really saw the opportunity. It wasn't like, I really respected Dave and his work, and I thought, well, this would be a really cool way to push hard with my riding and, do a good job, maybe make a cool video for the trial scene. So that's what we did. We kind of filmed around the streets of Edinburgh, 2008, 2009 winter, on my days off, on my lunch breaks and all that kind of stuff. And then when we eventually kind of got the video finished, sort of end of March and into April, we gave it to a brand, Inspired Bicycles. They were making some frames that they were helping me out with, or I was riding. Gave it to them, they put it on YouTube, and then that's when it kind of sort of went viral, as I said. It was like early days of viral internet videos. Kind of laughable now, but
is it on YouTube still?
Yeah, it's still there. It's called search my name and then Inspired Bicycles. I think it's probably like 2009.
April 09.
Yeah, that one there.
There it is. 40 million views, bro.
The quality's not the best, but pretty funny.
Was this in Edinburgh?
Yeah, this was like just outside the flat that I used to live in. I kind of wrote, I would say...
Dude, I've watched this.
This video, this sort of spiky fence part there was kind of the thing that probably, persevering with that was kind of, it taught me so much. I don't know. I learned a lot of lessons just from that one kind of scene. You know, it was like we had to go back for like 4 days in a row, or not in a row, over 4 days over like 6 months. I would try to ride along this blooming rail, and kept on gonna get knocked back. You know, go back into work after a 2-hour lunch break, having sessioned this thing, getting just beat up.
Yeah.
And it was the last thing that we filmed. Like we'd filmed everything else, and we really tried hard. And also the music choice was Dave Sowerby's as well. So there's a lot of things in that. Like I learned so many lessons just sort of working on that with Dave, and it's still that I use today. So yeah,
that's so sick. Scroll to the comments. I want to see some
comments. That'd be probably like, who's here?
I've watched this numerous times over the years, and it still blows me away. And that song gives me goosebumps every time I hear it. Who's here with me today? It really is a masterpiece. That was 10 months ago.
And there's ones from 10 years ago there. Jeepers. I mean, what was that, 2009? So
2009.
A good while ago. So, yeah.
This was the first ever YouTube video I watched, and I still watch it every year to get the nostalgia. Forever a legend.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty sick, dude.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, it was completely. It came from like completely unexpected. We had no. I had no sort of goals with it other than to kind of make something. I don't know, just do my best kind of thing. Yeah, but it was a big surprise when it ended up like pretty much the day after it went online. The news picked it up, and the local news picked it up, and then it was kind of getting friends that were in like a bakery down New Zealand. They would hear people they overheard people talking about it in the bakery down there, and then it'd be like on American news. And for a while, they used to have like accolades. In those days of YouTube, you'd have like a little awards. It was the most watched sports video in the world for several years, in fact, which is quite funny. It was just weird.
On your first video.
Yeah, exactly. It was, I don't know, it was funny. I mean, I didn't really, it wasn't like, I just thought it was kind of pretty funny. Carried on working in the bike shop for a while, and then I started doing shows in schools for the rest of that year. Life kind of carried on fairly as normal, apart from maybe apart from kind of you would get stopped in the street if I was out riding for myself. And there was a few bits of like advert work that came in. One for VW cars, a few bits and pieces of that kind of allowed me to kind of make enough money to really think about getting management and, really kind of do it full time from then.
Yeah, right. Man, that's crazy, eh? I remember watching it. I mean, I couldn't tell you when I watched it, like when in the timeline, but I definitely remember watching that. I never knew that was the first one. Was there like monetization and stuff back then?
No. And there's no monetization back then at all. So, it was just it went on Inspired Bicycles channel. So it's cool that it blew up on their channel because it was, they'd really been helping me out with bikes. Like I was smashing prototypes left, right and center the whole time. And they really helped me through that part of my career for sure.
That's so crazy, dude. And did it open up your eyes then to like the whole video project? Because I mean, posting on YouTube, I always tell people, I had a meeting on Saturday and I was like kind of given the backstory of like what I had done, and I was like, man, I bought a camera in 08, and all I did was just go around telling moto brands like the internet's going to be fucking massive for videos, and you're going to want to advertise your brand on the internet, and you've got Facebook and you've got Vimeo. It wasn't even YouTube. And it's like I was pedaling that bike way back when. And it's like, did you even have that vision back then? Or because it was all DVDs.
Yeah, it didn't exactly. I mean, we all started watching a little bit more content on YouTube at that time. I mean, that kind of became, that was like something that kicked things off for me. And then in September 2009, I signed with Resolution, which is like a bicycle management company run by my friend Tarek Razuli. And then I signed with Red Bull. And I didn't really know what it was like to I didn't really know much even that about Red Bull at that time. I knew some of my friends some of my heroes had been riding from them, but I didn't really sort of understand.
Didn't really get it.
You didn't really get it.
Yeah.
But of course, one of the things that they were keen for me to do in 2010 was to make a riding film for them. So that was going to be a tricky, not a tall order, because this thing happened so organically. I'd scouted in Edinburgh for like 4 years. This was all the best things I could possibly think about doing, and you're like,
this was like your first album.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is my whole life.
Yeah, that's it. It was like, yeah, exactly. And you're like, well, how do I do a second album?
Yeah.
So between myself and Red Bull, we kind of came up with the concept of getting a camper van and doing like a tour through Scotland. And I don't know why I felt like I understood that it was going to be impossible to top. Well, I knew that it was impossible for me to go and top that film that was, we'd put everything into. But I kind of understood that it was possible to kind of repackage the writing that I was doing, or maybe find some more interesting locations that had a bit of landscape behind or something. It wasn't about doing an extra 180-degree spin or dropping off an extra a
because
couple of feet higher.
the riding was like, you're like, this is the best riding I can do
Yeah.
on stuff that I've spent years trying to find. So it wasn't necessarily you couldn't make a better video. It was just like riding wise, this is like where I'm at.
Yeah, yeah, and then for the film, what was ended up being called The Way Back Home, we just scouted drove all over Scotland, kind of roughly between Edinburgh and the Isle of Skye, and we went back and forth. It wasn't like it was one linear trip. We were like just running around Scotland trying to chase the sun for 6 months. I kind of broke my collarbone 3 times in a row straight after signing the contract for Red Bull. One in Oakley's pump track, one in
The one here?
Yeah, one in Edinburgh, and then also came back over to California to do some rehab, and I crashed trying to keep up with G Atherton down Fontana. There's like a downhill track there, so so I had a few injuries like that right after signing for Red Bull. So I was feeling pressure, but it was funny having to kind of just sit around in the sling, just eager as anything. I had a little automatic Ford Fiesta that my friend's granny's car that I would kind of put myself on like sort of day insurers and whatnot to be able to drive this thing around and just go with my sling on to go and scout all the spots in Scotland. But yeah, so that sort of film for Red Bull was filmed again with Dave Sowerby. I was really sort of keen to keep working with friends, and they were quite good about letting us just do what we were doing. And I really kind of pushed hard to get it exactly as we wanted it. You know, of course, it goes into an office and
I know that world.
There's often, everybody likes to put their mark in it. And
you just see some random @Red Bull email and you're like, who the fuck is that? And why are they telling me to make this? Bro, I've been there.
But I was pretty adamant it had to be, we chose the music.
Yeah.
And luckily for us,
was that before Content Pool music?
Yeah. No, it might have been around that time. But I was like, I had like £500 a track to clear music for YouTube. We actually didn't clear the music for that Inspired Bicycles film, and there was threats of this was before I think it was before the algorithms were around that would tell the artists or tell the labels.
They just automatically.
Yeah. That was kind of before all that. But we had the record label.
Those were the good old days.
Yeah, but we had the record label threatening that it should be taken down, and then I think they kind of realized that it was going well.
It probably has more than the music video.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what it is in the end, but I think they kind of started realizing that it was translating to record sales, and that was still the era of
where it was
CDs,
kind of grey area.
It was CDs / LimeWire kind of downloads.
Yeah.
Pre the kind of streaming websites. So it was a kind of bit of the Wild West at that time.
How many of your New Year's resolutions have you been able to keep so far? Well, I'm happy to report that I've been able to keep on track with my daily nutrition habits, as I'm still starting off each and every morning with AG1, the same way I have for years. 1 scoop a day, or one of the convenient travel packs when I'm away at the races, make it really easy to stay on track with my health goals. For me, the benefits of taking AG1 every day are super clear. Firstly, it just sets the day off on the right foot. 5 minutes after I wake up, I've already checked a box. Secondly, after years of taking AG1, I know how good it is for my digestion and overall gut health. My skin is clearer and my hair and nails are healthier. I love that AG1 is NSF certified for sport, meaning it's been independently tested for quality. When it comes to my health, I want something I can trust, and that is why I choose AG1. AG1 makes it easy to support overall wellness every day, and that's why I've been partnering with AG1 for so long. And AG1 is offering new subscribers a free $76 gift when you sign up. You'll get a welcome kit, a bottle of D3K2, and 5 free travel packs in your first box. So make sure you check out drinkag1.com/gypsytales to start your new year on a healthier note. It was there's so many like my Uncle Glenn used to make the Mud Cows series. I don't know, do you ever watch those?
Oh, Mud Cows was it came with one of the magazines in the UK called MBUK.
Yeah.
And Mud Cows was like if I was ever off school sick or something like that, literally it'd be like one of the videos I'd sit and watch at home, Mudcows.
No way.
The guy, what was the guy in that sort of telephone box? I'm sure it was like a prank phone call on one of them, but
Which one would you remember which one it was?
is that I can't think what the cover. There's I'm pretty sure it's one where there's like a river crossing, and a guy basically comes down like a hill, and as he's going to a river, he gets sent over the bars and cuts his hand. That's just like one. I can't remember what Mudcows it was. It had lots of like sped up, squeaky voices and stuff like that.
So, dude, so my fucking uncle made all those.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was.
That's crazy. You even know that. It's so underground, like 90s shit.
Well, there wasn't. Yeah, I mean, I'm a 90s kid for sure, and yeah, I mean, there just wasn't much content out there. I mean, whatever, I'd probably my entire, even between all my friends, the entire 10-year mountain bike box set collection would probably consist of about 10 videotapes.
DVDs,
or videotapes.
Yeah,
it wasn't. This is pretty, the VCRs. Yeah, really. There wasn't much around back then, and those films you just watch
over and over.
Yeah, that's
so
class.
Yeah, so he, Glenn Jacobs. So he, so he, he's not blood uncle, but I was probably 10 when I figured out what a blood uncle even was. I just literally called him Uncle Glenn my whole life. But he was my dad's best friend. They literally grew up together, and. But yeah, those videos, bro, there's like Papa Roach and fucking all this shit. And there's like, we just put the music that we wanted to watch. But I grew up in Cairns.
Okay.
And so just followed all those. God, that's all I wanted to do when I was a kid.
Would you have the World Cups? Would you go and see them when you're young? I mean, how long has it been going to Cairns?
96.
Oh, right. So you've really had it on your doorstep. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but all those tracks, all those guys, all like Bryn Atkinson and Chris Kavarik and, like Michael Ronning, all those guys were just like right there. And I was probably, from 9 to 14 when those guys were doing all that. So like they were right there in our doorstep. I didn't know anything about the rest of the world. Like to me, they were just like local videos, Awesome. But anyway, so like all the music, you go back now and listen to it and it's like fucking all this just crazy music that you wouldn't never be able to actually clear.
I'm sure.
Pull up Mudcows on
they must be they must be on here.
That's
one of the good things about the internet, isn't it? You can sort of think up these older films and then
I know
half the time somebody's uploaded them.
Mudcows too. Go down. Because there was one that was, in the 90s, dude. I think the first one that they did, it was called Crazy Ice Cream Heads from Outer Space. And that was just like the full local video. That was like our, Lake Placid used to do all these cliff jumps and fucking.
I remember that. I remember that.
Crazy injuries, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was just the shit back in the day, bro. Really, before there was even like suspension and stuff.
You can be a bit of nostalgia, can you?
Oh, dude.
That's good.
It's a hell of a drug, isn't it?
I suppose that's something I hopefully feel lucky with some of these videos, and like you can maybe see in some of the comments. But I feel it whenever I'm kind of hanging with my kind of riding heroes. But nostalgia is pretty powerful. You kind of quite nice to think of all the kids that have been grown up, sort of plonked in front of some of the films that I've made, and if they hear the song or if they see it again, they'll be like, you get a good pang on nostalgia. So,
when I think about, I don't even know who the song is or whatever, but it's in Mudcows 4, and it's Bryn Atkinson going down one of the local trails, and it's that, what are you looking for this time around? And it's just like that song when I hear that, and like, the Super Jesus, Gravity, like there's just so many epic songs that just fully take you back to your childhood,
Brilliant. Yeah.
Can you search that first, the first video, way back home? Is that what it was?
Yeah. Just
because I would have for sure seen it, but
it starts up in Edinburgh Castle.
Right.
So it was a cool one to go from inspired bicycles. Of course, I was riding all around town, no permissions for anything, and then through Red Bull, I was able to kind of wangle my way up onto the actual ramparts or whatever you call them of Edinburgh Castle. And yeah, actually kind of, because I'd visualized myself jumping off this one wall into a grass bank for years. And yeah, eventually I got up there so I could try to do a front flip into the bank, which is cool. I've never done one of those since, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I did it on that day, pissing rain.
And you're like, never again.
Yeah. Well, no, I've never had a spot.
Yeah.
I've never had a spot for it, but yeah.
It's called Way Back Home, Danny MacAskill.
Let's see.
And with Red Bull, you obviously have to get clearance for every single location, everything.
Yeah,
you do.
in this day, oh yes, we got
Like
we got clearance for every location in this video. No, I mean it was this was a little bit more winging it. I mean in the modern world, it's much more.
Scroll down. How many views did this one get? Yeah, 43 mil. Jeez, you're on a run so far. 2 videos in, we're at 83 mil.
It kind of set things up well for me, and really set things up for me with Red Bull, and that's kind of how I ended up working with them over the next years. This was like a move that I'd sort of dreamt of doing. Again, it was like, hook or whatever. You're just like, oh, what's the? You've got your sort of start kind of banger. What else are you going to do in the video? But
this is in the day where you used to actually use jibs and cranes.
Yeah,
too. That's gone.
I mean, yeah, I actually really like the sort of simplicity of that style of filming. I think
it's gone now though.
Yeah, in the sort of modern world with like gimbals and drones and things.
That's a crane shot. That's someone setting up a massive tripod with weights and sandbags.
Yeah, I mean, we had these little cranes that were like 300 quid or something. I can't remember what they're called.
Kessler cranes.
Yeah, exactly. But in the 5D, this was the 5D days as well. This was like, I actually bought Dave Sowerby because like I'd gotten so much back from Inspired Bicycles. I actually bought Dave as a present a Canon 5D camera. And that's what we filmed this on. But you had to to make these, or with the 5D, you really had to have good light. If you filmed in flat light, the image quality was crap. Or not crap, but it was it wasn't very vibrant. So it was quite difficult to film in Scotland.
Yeah.
It kind of really played in my mind knowing that if I was trying to do like a big trick that was really kind of quite scared off, taking a lot of risk, it was pretty hard to motivate myself to do it if the light wasn't good.
Yeah.
So I'd find myself really quite sort of psychologically affected by the sun going behind the clouds, waiting. Is it going to come out? Is it not? It still is a bit like that. It still is like that today, but now you can
nowhere near as much.
Yeah, you can grade things sort of much better these days. But
this was such a revolutionary time. Now that we're talking about it, 'cause I don't know if you know, that's what I did forever. Like I was a filmmaker with Red Bull was like where I got my start. So class. 2010, first time I was in America, and the first time I was working on like big Red Bull projects.
Sick.
I kind of did that up to like 2018. So on more than moto stuff.
Yeah, okay.
So like this era is that's my era of like filming too, awesome. And man, the Kessler crane, the Cine slider, the 5D Mark II, like, dude, between that and the internet and YouTube and brands like Red Bull, that was just the golden age. And I don't know, have you ever worked with Wes Williams over here?
No, I don't think so.
So he was the guy that I worked a lot with doing Red Bull projects in the US. And we were literally just talking about it today. Well, when I was driving here, actually. And we were just talking about like, that era, and it's just not around anymore. And I mean, even to a point like Red Bull spending the money that they did on these type of projects, because it's just changed. Like people used to sit and watch these over and over and over. It was like, this was almost the DVD for the modern kid or like the internet kid, but even now it's so Instagram and it's so short form. But there really was a perfect storm of the 5D, the Cine slider, the Kessler crane, and YouTube.
Yeah,
that just opened up a complete new world for filmmakers and athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, very nostalgic for these days. Kind of I mean, Instagram and things were starting to kick off. Of course, Facebook was still
Yeah.
around, but Facebook was still sharing,
Sharing the link.
they would kind of fly around Facebook as well. Whereas the sort of attention span things kind of just gotten, it's a shame in some ways. I mean, it's obviously opened up, Instagram and all these other platforms have opened up all these
New doors.
Doors and new potential for careers. And of course, it doesn't always have to be completely short. I think, I've not got TikTok on my phone myself, but I think there's more longer form kind of pieces that are going directly to that. But
and we do 3 hours.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Still,
so yeah, of course, yeah. And this is on YouTube, so you kind of get your, I mean, you can't do 3 hours on TikTok. No, this is for YouTube.
You can
you?
now. What were you talking about? That? I mean, TikTok's gone. They reckon it's done in.
Oh, really?
January,
is it gonna happen?
January 19th, they reckon. Can you turn that music off for us, Griff, on it? Yeah, they reckon it's gonna.
Yeah,
happen.
It's hard.
That's why I reckon this is my little conspiracy on why Zuck has turned around. And have you seen the stuff with Zuckerberg lately?
He's just like,
he's donated money to Trump, and he's now they're changing the fact checking to community notes. So my personal take is. Zuck is worried that when Trump gets in, there's going to be some kind of deal that lets TikTok stay in. So he's like, hey, I'll play the game. Because he's got Facebook and Instagram. Okay. And then Elon's got Twitter. Mm-hmm. So it's like, hey, me, Elon, what do you want from us? What do we got to do to fuck off this whole TikTok thing? That's my little conspiracy. So January 19, it's supposed to be done. And can you pull up, is there any news? Oh, there.
I mean, people must be absolutely sweating it,
bro.
Because how many people are making a living off TikTok over here?
Yeah,
it must be insane.
Go to the NPR 1 hour ago. Let's just see. No, left. That one. Let's just see what they're saying. A TikTok ban could hit the US in days. Oh, dude, yeah, it's 6 days away.
That's going to be...
So the fate of TikTok and its 170 million American users hangs in the balance as the Supreme Court considers the constitutionality of a law that would ban the platform in the country if its China-based owner, ByteDance, doesn't sell. If the court upholds the law, TikTok stays and the country would be numbered. Yeah, so I guess TikTok's ready to close the doors if it stays.
Wow.
So that's why I reckon... Zuckerberg just randomly comes out and's he gave $1 million to the inauguration for Trump. And then who else did? I think Bezos did. There was a bunch of the tech guys. So they're just let's fuck it off. Because, it's crazy. Even the, just consumer products and shit. I bought a fucking thing for the shower the other day. I didn't know it was a TikTok product. But when I went on Amazon, it was seen on TikTok.
Oh, right. Okay.
So it's there'd be so many millionaires that have just been created off TikTok.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if you're gonna have to, if you're gonna have to do it at some point or whatever they're banning it for, if you're gonna have to do it at some point, then I suppose it's gonna, I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty mad. It'd be a big deal, and probably have a long-term, not repercussions for
ramifications.
Yeah, ramifications. That's it. It'd be pretty tough if that was your whole livelihood. Just.
It's one of the things though, and I mean, it's something I think about, all these platforms are like that. Mm-hmm. We just spend years and years and years building up these followings and building up these, platforms, but you don't own them. All the subscribers of all the shit, of all the millions of people that watch this, don't have any of their emails, don't know who.
Yeah, totally.
It's just, I think the game you play of being on these platforms in a way.
Yeah. I mean, it's all a big experiment, constantly changing. I mean, I feel like that with not necessarily making a living, but my Spotify account. I'm like, oh my god, imagine if Spotify stopped tomorrow, I'd be devastated. I mean, obviously life would go on. But yeah, it's a lot different to, actually making a living off it. But I don't know. Yeah, we have got a lot of reliance on this stuff, don't we? But yeah, can't get too stressed about it. But that would be stressful. I mean, TikTok's not something I've personally. I'm a little bit more old school, even reluctant Instagrammer and Facebook, but you've kind of got to do that to play the game these days. So yeah.
What's your I guess, your program with content and posting content? Like, do you have people that do it for you? Like, are you active on it?
Yeah, I've got a young lad, Brody, that helps me do my Instagram. He does the posting for me.
Yeah.
We kind of come up with a bit of a plan. I found myself just the apps themselves are just, I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into it, but they're
Mate, I'm
they're
with
not.
you.
They're
Whatever
not.
you're about to say, I'm with you.
It's not good for you. It's not. It's just like and it just time. Your waking day from when you wake up to they're just as soon as you start scrolling on these apps, they're just. I mean, I've got a personality that, everybody's got an algorithm that's tuned exactly to them, and mine blows my mind every time I go on there. I'm like, I cannot believe that. Wow, look at this, look at that. Soon you've been on there for like an hour, and I'm like, so I deleted that stuff off my phone and get my friend Rory to do that for me.
Yeah.
And sometimes I kind of feel like I'm feeding the beast as well. I'm sure, I mean, this is a cool way to do it. You're doing 3 hours of sort of credible, cool content. And nice thing about podcasts is that you can consume them while you're doing other things.
Yes.
I think that's great. But whereas this sort of visual stuff, I mean, I can't even say, if I'm honest, I really get that much inspiration even from Instagram. I'm just like, wow, even someone who lives a lifestyle like myself, I get to travel, I get to, literally couldn't be living a cooler lifestyle. And even for myself, I'm like,
and you still get bummed.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. You're
yeah.
just like, and I'm not, I don't even really have like, I don't know, I'm doing all the stuff I absolutely love. It's just like, I can't even imagine how it must be for folk that are having a bad time or not, they have hopes and dreams to do this stuff, and it cannot be good for you.
No, I completely agree. Like the saying, there's always a bigger fish.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, Instagram makes that very clear. You're like, holy smokes.
Yeah. And when people say like comparison is the thief of joy, it is.
That's a good way of putting it.
Oh, and man, I think about it all the fucking time. And I've said it a couple of times on here, but like the one thing as well that I just hate about Instagram, like I'm married. You cannot get away from girls on Instagram. Mm-hmm. I don't follow any fucking girls, dude. Mm-hmm. And it's like no matter what you do, there's as a male person in that algorithm, it's just girls. Yeah. And that even like there's always a bigger fish. Like there's always a hotter chick. Always just that to me, I just find so unhealthy.
Yeah.
And when you're, I mean, even when I was single, I think it fucks with you. Like, there's obviously there's downsides of it when you're someone that's married and like you literally only have one person you're ever going to be with. So then to just be shown a fuck ton of other women is not a great thing for your psychology. But even when I was single, no matter how hot the chick I was that I was with at the time or hooking up with, there's always a bigger fish. Yeah. And it's just that whole platform is just there's always a bigger fish. As a podcaster, there's always a bigger fish. Like I'm really tight with Davey, Ride Companion.
Oh yeah.
And it's like the comparison that I feel to other podcasters, the comparison that he feels to other podcasters. It's just all of it is fucked.
Yeah.
And again, I'm like, dude, I'm living the dream. I fucking love my life. I've grinded for 10 years plus to build this life, and there's always a bigger fish.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you kind of even feel it in the sports as well. I mean, it's cool because you do see the latest, greatest spin trick. But I'd say it makes an average person 2025 is much harder to impress.
Yeah.
I mean, not that's what you're trying to do, or it's much harder to
captivate.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. It kind of definitely demotivated me a little bit the last few years. It was just more just like the feeling of, I don't know. There was like this kind of, as you said, like back in the sort of early 2009, 2010 sort of time, there was like that kind of new excitement. Maybe it's just because we're getting old and jaded. Maybe that's the...
Well, I think too that it's like what hasn't been done.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe a little bit of that, like back then, I mean, I remember making in 2010, I made a web series.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That wasn't a thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a novel concept, and it was dog shit when I go back and look at it now. But in the moment, like, we were putting out this thing, and we were following this team that had come to America, and that, like, no one had ever made anything like it. And the feeling that I got from producing that, or like I did a video called Dream Ride in Australia.
No,
and it was like no one had ever done that. Phantom flexes out of helicopters, and I was like very inspired by Brain Farm. And that's it, that's all. So I was like, no one's ever done that for moto. So we went and we did that. And it's like, you cannot get that feeling now as a filmmaker, you know?
I mean,
or the level you'd have to go to would be insane.
Yeah, it's true. It's kind of one of the things I find, not a shame on Instagram, but sometimes, because concepts are so important for my films, the concept is so important. But it's quite hard when little bits of concepts are just being fired out to people in like 15-second increments. You're like, oh, that's a shame. No, it's a shame because I mean, of course,
it's still reaching new people. It's
yeah,
still inspiring.
yeah. But sometimes you're like, oh, it'd just be better if that was just taken to its limit.
Yeah.
You know, you feel like from the writer's point of view, or if it's a writer, or if it's, you know, it can be, there's, I don't know, kind of young comedians or lots of other things, but you kind of feel there's the concept space has been much more explored. But then I still think there's still a lot of low-hanging fruit out there. I think if you really sit down and think about your kind of scene, your skill set, there's still ways of, you know, impressing, or I think the word I like to use with the videos is you try to surprise folk.
Yeah,
that's the key. It's not impress. You just try to kind of trying to surprise someone 2025 is not the easiest, but I think if you sit down and think about it hard enough, you can hopefully do it. I've still got some ideas up my sleeve I'd like to do the next year. So
yeah. No, and I think I think for sure, like, even the thing that, like, my version of that is people are like, oh, you're gonna run out of gas, and I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, how would I run out of gas? So I guess it's a similar thing, you know, like when you're doing it and when you've got the creative vision and you know what you haven't explored in your own mind, it's like it probably looks a bit more like that from the outside than what it feels like on the inside.
Yeah, definitely. Do love a good concept. Good, it's good fun. Like,
what's some of the favorites that you've done? I remember. I'll tell you mine.
Okay.
Before I let you answer the question I just asked you. You are a guy. You actually have blown my mind with some concepts, and like basically the big everything that you did in like a huge soundstage. Like, I saw that and was just like, fuck off. You know, that was one of those where it was just like a mind blowing concept.
Yeah, that was a fun one. That came from Imaginate. It was that film was called.
That's right.
And
look that Imaginate, Danny MacAskill.
That came from basically, the last bigger film I'd done with Red Bull was, I think, it was the kind of last bigger one I'd done was Way Back Home. There's a few other bits and pieces, but it's kind of the same thing as like, how do I kind of repackage my writing? Well, I was fed up of trying to work with the 5D cameras. Yeah. Trying to look out for waiting for the sun, waiting for the light and all that. So I thought it'd be quite cool to do a studio-based film where we've got complete control over everything. And I kind of, as I was saying earlier, nostalgia is very powerful. So like, I mean, when I was a kid, I used to do this kind of stuff, or I used to play with my fork at the dinner table. I'm sure every kid that's into motorbikes is rhythming their flipping
the mashed potatoes,
you know, all that kind of stuff. So I thought it'd be quite fun to, myself and my friend Stu Thompson, who directed this film, I thought it'd be fun to build a big set and try to sort of be this little character riding on this giant stuff. So yeah, it was that was another one. Red Bull really trusted what we were sort of imagining. And we're probably in that warehouse for like 6 months altogether. You know, it wasn't all set.
My next question.
Yeah, it was a long time, and kind of worked with, again, a team of friends. They were working. Friend Davey, who's actually out here with me in LA. Friends of mine were building the boxes in the set, and he was painting it all. But yeah, it was a cool film. Again, it was quite surprising that it it did well. It was another kind of like, we can recreate this sort of formula, as long as you come up with a good concept.
Yeah.
It is possible to kind of surprise folk, entertain folk, and I'm really proud with that one. Although I was pretty much I wouldn't say I had a mental breakdown, but it was quite hard going into the set every day and it was like Groundhog Day. I was kind of coming back. I'd had a back operation like 6 months before this. Oh no, maybe 10 months before this. We filmed this, so I was really not physically
100%.
Yeah, physically 100%. But I'd say I managed to get a lot of the ideas and tricks down on the film, like that one from flip over the ball into the railway track. There's just like loads of fun moves that I really wanted to kind of get down on film.
And so what's the process creatively from the writing standpoint? Like, are you just kind of in there making things up? Not like on the fly, but it's like, okay, I could do this would be cool, and then you do it, and then you move on to the next? Or do you literally just have like a checklist?
We had basically I'd have a book and a pen, and I would just stick man draw a lot of kind of conceptual ideas. Of course, we had to build a lot of the, we got all the blocks, but we thought we need to get some building blocks, so we just got a load of those made up. We got their telegraph poles cut into pencils. We got some playing cards. So we had all these kind of building blocks that we kind of got made up.
Yep.
And then it was a case of sort of, with all this setup, what could we, what tricks would be fun and interesting to do. And then we kind of work our way towards that. So we kind of come in the morning and set things up. Maybe chuck some mats down if I was trying to do the 360 backflip, or we even managed to get a tank that's in the background here, it was just kind of just had a big list of different things, and it was quite chaotic. I think I still am quite chaotic when it comes to filmmaking. I'm not very good at completely storyboarding an exact script, because you don't know personally, I don't know if I'm going to be that into the writing that I've chosen. But
because it's a big feel thing of like, I'm not feeling like I can do that today.
But luckily we had the time in front of the camera. I think if Rebel were very lenient with me with making that. We've spent multiple days trying to get one trick. It wasn't like, you could have made that film much quicker, but it's quite cool when you can really take a concept to its absolute maximum, or as good as we could possibly do it in the time that we had. And, I'm really proud of that film. Actually, I think it'll give a lot of people nostalgia, I think.
Oh yeah,
and it's just fun, a fun one. Quite happy.
I remember that being the first video where I was like, okay,
yeah, okay.
Like this is like a whole thing. It was a very mind-blowing concept. It was very never been done before. And then when I saw that again, like as someone like in this era, that's what I was doing. I was just like, okay, that's a whole thing.
That's cool.
That he's going to be able to do from now,
Yeah, it was, yeah, as I say, it was a really cool film to work on, and kind of just cool to get that. I mean, that's kind of the personal feeling when I've come up with all these kind of concepts and films. I tried to think about myself working in the bike shop, still as a mechanic there, and if I was watching somebody else doing what I'm doing, would I think the stuff's credible? You try to do the things that I would find cool, and also given the opportunity that I've had to do the stuff, I would really want to sort of maximize I'm somewhere in between. I really want to sort of maximize the take the opportunities I've been given, but then I'm also a little bit like sometimes you don't want to over produce. I've stayed away from I do have a YouTube channel, and I've not really gone down the route of really sort of channel building and stuff. It's been quite organic. You'll see a lot of my videos, a lot of them have ended up on Red Bull's channels or Adidas or GoPro or Santa Cruz or everybody else. But it's kind of kept kind of a bit more chill for me, where I'm not quite drawn into a sort of algorithmic schedule. So I've just tried to play it, to keep it as fun as possible for myself, really.
Yeah. What was the rough budget you reckon on that thing?
I actually don't know. I mean, it must have been at least $250,000, maybe. It's hard to even. I actually don't know. I was completely.
So it was like the production company, basically.
Yeah, it was my friend Stu Thompson.
Yeah.
It was his production company, Cut Media, who I've worked with a number of times. And then there was some executive producers that were
from Red Bull.
No, they were from a separate company as well that were kind of overseeing the sort of bigger, because Stu at Cut had worked in big projects, but this was like a bigger beast altogether. But Red Bull really gave us a free rein. It was very, very loose. It was me drawing stickman figures, going out there with my pals, trying to land things for multiple days. But yeah, I'm stoked with that one. That's good.
That's a huge, like if you go from way back home to that, that's a huge jump in production, concept, execution. Went from like 43 mil views to 94 mil views. Like, bro, that's a crazy run as a creator.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, I don't know, kind of almost a little bit surreal when the videos kind of go, you're kind of done with them by the time they go, you go out. I mean, in these days, it would actually go on Red Bull's sort of channels first as well, so you'd maybe miss the sort of virality of what it could have been. Not that it's done very well, but Red Bull were kind of quite focused on Red Bull TV at that time. So we'd go there first for the first 48 hours and then eventually kind of go up onto the main thing. But it's good. It was another way of like, this is kind of how we work with the brands, and you kind of develop more trust as it goes along. So, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think about now, like the difference between the way that you did it versus like the channel building route? Like, do you kind of have any thoughts around it, or are you glad you did it the way you did it? Because I think as well, there's probably a lot of it comes down to just personality too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say I'm kind of been thrust into the kind of, I feel like I've almost been sort of thrust into this job, and I'm kind of still kind of feel like the bike mechanic, just sort of, it's almost laughing it all off, but kind of going on. What do you mean, like building my own channel type thing? Yeah,
because I think you're one of the rare people, and like you got in at the right time to where, like you had Red Bull that was paying, then you had GoPro, you had Adidas. You were like a guy that kind of could be the more traditional athlete route that had like management, and the projects lived on Red Bull. And then, you look at a guy like, even like the Degans or Fabio, it's like very channel focused, channel centric, but it's a different type of work in a way.
I think it was just, Fabio's taken a lot of decisions that I kind of thought about doing, but I just, maybe it came from the sort of core, like Dave Sarvey, my sort of friend who I lived with in the Inspired days, and I just always sort of thought back at the core, not that you can do it completely in a core view, for sure, and I'd say Fabio's done an amazing job of building his channel, but it just didn't, I don't know, I just preferred, I still kind of do prefer doing it this way, sort of. I don't know. But I would like to, I think, like I bought a house in Scotland that has some land, and I would like to, I just don't want to get, I just do not want to get tied into feeding algorithms. You know, it's really, I'm kind of lucky that I'm not too tied in there, and I've kind of managed to keep it that way for 15 years. So I want to get kind of, but it would be, it's nice to have some stuff sat on your own channel, but I don't think I've actually ever, you'll probably blow some folks' mind, but I don't know if I've actually ever made any money off AdSense in my entire career. Like I don't even know what people make of it. I've never even looked. I've had no care for it. The sort of money side of things never been a big drive. Maybe when I'm old, I'll maybe regret these decisions, but it's just never been something that I've always been more bothered about. Just sort of, I suppose I would have control over the creation of the content, but I don't know. I've just kind of milled through it all and kind of spend a lot of time with my friends back home, playing on my e-bike a lot of the time, and then try to come up with a good, fun idea for a new concept and go out and do that. So maybe I'll try and do some channel stuff later, but I don't know if it's for me. I've never considered myself a YouTuber, you know.
Well, and that's where I was getting at with like the personality thing, you know, like because there is a certain type of personality. Like if you were to, you know, like let's say you and Fabio, it's like that. It just would be two different types of people, and there's an element of you're just constantly playing a game when you're in the YouTube thing, and it's like it almost becomes your sport. And I don't know, like how I like feel about it or think about it, because I don't know whether. Like we definitely do play the game on Instagram, and we do to some degree play the game on YouTube. You know, like you've got to do the clickbait titles and you've got to get thumbnails, and like there's definitely a thing to that. But yeah, I mean, I've always had the feeling that if I just do really good podcasts with really good people and produce a very good product, then it'll work out.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe I'm like somewhere in the middle. Like I kind of actually fully understand where you're coming from, but then I also know like the channel building.
Yeah.
So I definitely get the thought pattern that you would be in.
I think it also depends on the people you've sort of taken influence from. I just never. I mean, there are a lot of friends that have gone on to really channel build. You got like Sam Pilgrim.
Yeah.
Who else? Sam Reynolds, Matt Jones. Like they're a lot of UK kind of guys that have really gone. It's cool because you're kind of wondering where their career is going to go, and they're really having to put themselves in the line and the slopes down. They're like, oh, I can do this other thing. I've always liked to kind of make these films. You know, maybe get a brand to back it, and for them to get on their channel. But you almost, regardless of any channel, like you make something good enough that could go viral regardless. You know, we've done it sort of loads of times where we've kind of put them on tiny channels that have got no reach. So it's nothing to do with the actual sort of followers, but you kind of manage to kind of you just make it like, I like to basically try to make these films for the kind of audience that would go and sit down at a film festival, you know, whether it's the Banff Film Festival or those are the kind of audience that I really like. I like the idea of that the most. You know, making something that's that kind of quality, and then hopefully people like it enough to share it to their pals, and they share it to their pals, and whatever. So yeah, but maybe I'll take the channel building more seriously at some point. But like I've got a new house in Scotland at the moment, and it would be the ideal place to really build a channel. It's got all the right things around it, but I just don't know if I want to, you know, get too drawn in. We'll see.
It does fully take over your life.
Yeah,
like
totally.
This whole thing's taken over my life. Like I love it. I'm lucky. I like really enjoy it. This is definitely, I'd do this for free. But yeah, definitely. Like we recorded Eli Thursday, had to drop it Saturday, like just because of some commitments we'd made with sponsors and shit, and I'm anxious as fuck the whole time, and then you're like checking it every hour. It's like, is this doing as good as this should be doing? And it's like, I don't know. It is a whole thing. I think I've probably gotten better over the years of like distancing myself, and then like Ethan posts all the Instagrams, and like when you have to, I think the thing is like you have to build a really good team. Like I know Fabio got super lucky with the first guy that was filming with him.
Totally. He's done a really good job of building up a team that's working with him. Yeah,
so I think that's another thing. If you want to play that game, you have to be very invested in building the right team as well, because like you just fully can't do it on your own. Yeah,
totally. I kind of cruise through. I mean, I've got a lot of really good friends that do, depending on the brand you're working with and style of film, got ones that are better at filming the kind of more core writing, some of them maybe better at some of the concepts, all that kind of stuff, and try to always, but they've got the production, you know, it's like, again, it would have been easy for me to start my own production and sort of build that, but I just don't know how good a manager I am. personally. I don't. But then you could also get a manager to manage it all as well. But
and just
it's
like,
maybe a kind of island thing. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
that's not true either because they're good at. Well, many of my friends are pretty good at business, but
it's just a whole thing.
we kind of have. It's like I don't know what it is. That's nothing to do with that, but it's like you don't want to get too big for your boots. Back, that's kind of like my friends. My friends back home would put me in my place if I could start. But that's nothing to do with sort of. There's just been lots of things that I don't know. I kind of you sort of play things down a lot more, and I like to just basically go back home and hang with my pals when I'm not doing sort of filmmaking and things. So yeah.
I think that's a bit of a UK thing. Like Aussie has that too. It's not. I mean, there's a bit of tall poppy. I don't think what you're talking about is like exactly the whole tall poppy syndrome, but I think it is just very blue collar, low key, kind of don't stand out too much in a way.
Yeah, or you kind of like you'd naturally play something down.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean. Not over the top, but you just be like, we're all kind of just, I don't know. You kind of try to kind of keep everybody on the sort of same level. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying.
Yep.
So I hijacked the question before, but what's your favorite concept that you've had, do you think?
I mean, Imaginate is probably the most conceptual film that I've done. I mean, one of the films that I enjoyed making the most was probably a film called Cascadia, which a film I made for GoPro, or with GoPro back in 2015.
Yeah.
It was
Cascadia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was basically filmed on some rooftop. It was kind of, again, it was like one of those like, oh, what concept would be cool? I'd be cool if I did some riding along some rooftops and some colourful rooftops. So we found this place called Las Palmas in Gran Canaria, a cool looking town full of colour. So
that's wild, eh?
And we basically went there before, like 2 weeks before, we went door to door asking people if we would, if we could
basically ride on your
can
house?
we ride on a roof? And there's not many, I'd say culturally, everybody was really cool. And they were just like, yeah, no problem, come up. And then of course you had to make sure the next door neighbor
was cool with you jumping off their house.
Yeah, and so and we did that the whole way down. The film kind of naturally, like I picked the Dodos song. I had that really in my head as like I really wanted to use that for this film. Again, it was quite a hard push with GoPro. They kind of had the music bed style, or their own kind of tracks that they already had. But I pushed pretty hard to have my friend Robbie also direct it. Nice thing was because we were limited to just using, I think it was the GoPro Hero 4.
That looked like a 4 there,
yeah, I think it just come out. It was quite nice being limited to just that camera. If you've got regular cameras that you can change lenses on, then you're thinking about all these different styles of shot. Whereas it kind of made things quite straightforward. I was going to just be running one on my helmet. My friend Robbie had one on like a gimbal, and there was also like a wee one on a drone. And it was just really enjoyable. Like, not the same stress that you have with trying to do a technical trick 300 goes. Like, because it was all so high, I couldn't really be making any mistakes. So it all had to be quite easy. But you knew also, from the viewer's point of view, they were going to think like, it was just really fun. It's not like I was trying to.
It wasn't overproduced.
I knew the viewers would be slightly uncomfortable, but it wasn't like I was completely. I mean, there was only 2 moves in this whole film that I actually got any kind of any sort of fear from, and it's already passed. There was basically a flip step down on the yellow building, maybe like I don't know, like a minute in.
Keep going back.
Yeah, there's like a backflip I did.
Yes, I remember seeing
it. Just here.
Yeah.
Like I'd never, for my freeride friends, Cam Zink would be flipping down this thing.
Yeah.
No bother at all. But for me, that was really out of my kind of sort of regular day to day. The drop down the middle didn't bother me at all. Like I was quite rational about,
how fast you go on the speed. You're not going to be there.
Exactly. But it was more just like, don't over-rotate and land on my ass.
Can I actually do a backflip?
Yeah. And then the last trick I did for the film, I was actually kind of maybe overconfident. It was basically a front flip into the sea. And I was like, well, it's just the sea. can't hurt myself. You know, it was about a 50-foot drop or something.
Oh, that's a lot.
But it's a lot. But you could you could get it really wrong, and you'd be completely fine. There was no risk at all. Well, in my mind, there was no risk. But then what ended up happening was when the swell was going past, you could see the rocks going underneath, and I was kind of like, the run up was weird because I had such a light gear, I couldn't like pedal down the run up, and kind of felt like I was only going to just clear them. So kind of got to the point of, you like normally when the sun's going down, you kind of get to the horizon, and I'm so bothered about light.
Yeah.
And like, if there's ever something that's going to motivate you to try a trick,
it's the darkness.
You've only got this day to do it, and the sun disappearing, that's you done, kind of thing. So, and the sun actually went below the horizon. I spent 2 hours mucking about there, going up, and I remember the feeling of once I just went and finally just sort of did the front flip. I was just like in my head, as I just sort of tucked my head, I'm like, yeah. I was like celebrating midair. I was like, yeah, thank goodness. Like completely, it was such a cool, free feeling, like warm air, all that stuff. And then as I kind of come round thinking I was going to hit the sea, it was still had like another sort of 10 feet to go. So I kind of keep going over and front flip. Face plant, which didn't hurt at all. It was completely chill, but it was a cool feeling and a nice.
Look at that. That's scary as fuck.
Like an easy way to. You always want like a banger, like an ender, but that kind of POV, for the yeah. So it's kind of like, yeah, it was funny. It was funny how I'm not often overconfident, but I was so overconfident going into that day. I was like chilling, and then when it came to it, I was like, oh no. But anyway, so that was one I was really. Yeah, it was another kind of cool one and just really fun. There wasn't much stress involved. I wasn't taking hundreds of goes, and it kind of got the right music for the job as well. So yeah.
How long total production?
That was probably like filming days. Probably had between 8 to 10 days or something.
Yeah, okay.
We were doing like two often like two
morning and night.
Yeah, like or trying to get like 2 clips a day, which is quite productive in my books. Like if I'm filming on one of the big films, I'd be lucky to get one trick a day. That's kind of, I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming skateboards and things are operating like that, or even.
I would feel like you'd be right. Yeah.
Yeah, or that would be your ideal. Or if you're really trying to do stuff that's not been done yet, you're often doing things that have not been done for yourself yet. I could probably train more, but I don't do any training. Often it's like you turn up to you just riding regularly, trying to keep your brain in sort of good shape, feeling good about yourself or whatever, and then you turn up to a spot and just sort of throw yourself at it until it works. So, yeah. That's
cool. And are you still working with GoPro?
I amn't actually. So as of only a couple of weeks ago, it's kind of finally, I've been riding for them since 2012. So it only kind of came to an end like literally a couple of weeks ago, which is a shame, but they've been really good to me, and they've been so cool to work with, like coolest. They're just one of the coolest sort of action sports brands. They've done, the days of the launches of the Hero 4 and stuff. I mean, they were like really iconic, and still just allowing us all to kind of give people a little bit of insight into what it's like to do these kind of sports. So, yeah.
Man, I wish they didn't go public.
I know.
That was just such a turning point in that.
It seems to be the
way.
Yeah, it's hard because you kind of often have to build these brands, and then there's, to actually kind of keep the company going, you kind of maybe need to do it. But it seems to be the coolest brands are the ones, I mean, look at Red Bull, for instance. It's managed to, it would not be doing anything like it's doing if it was a public traded company. They can kind of make decisions and it's just not got the same shareholder pressure, does it? So,
Yeah, no, I mean, fuck, like, can you blame Goodwin for cashing out on $1 billion?
No.
Dude, just...
No, of course not. But it's just, it was just all going so so well. But they're still making. I mean, the new 13 GoPro Hero 13 is so kick-ass. They're just, I suppose, they're all just, the 12 is also really good as well. So it's hard to kind of try to keep making a new one every year. And
then I wonder if he saw on the horizon, like if he was just like, you know what, I'm going to get out of this because we're pretty solid. And then it's like phones are getting so much better. Like just everything is getting better. And it's like, how much better can you make little box?
I remember getting a little bit of a scare for them earlier on when Google Glass was at one point in time. I don't know what year it was, but Google Glass was starting to, I don't know. It was sort of getting pushed out into the world, or there was chat of these smart glasses becoming a thing. I was like, whoa, if they suddenly become a thing, then that's going to really hammer someone like GoPro's business because everybody would have a lens. But I don't think the tech was there yet. But you never know. If any of that stuff's going to come around again. It seems like it might do, but
I think it's only a matter of time. Like the Meta, like they're the ones that are going the hardest into it. And apparently it's called the Quest or something, like the VR. Have you ever used any of them?
No, I did. I tried one of the Apple Vision Pros. How was it? Somebody from Red Bull stuck one in my head at one of the F1s, and my first time using any of these goggles, and I was quite impressed, I have to say. It kind of made, I don't know, everybody's kind of gone on about going to the Sphere in Vegas or something like that, but it's like, well, I could just have a Sphere in my living room. Or, it kind of made me think of like being able to hang with some friends from abroad or something. And I don't know, I was quite impressed by how immersive it is. It's hard to see. Well, you can imagine a lot of ways of how action sports would use it. You could easily imagine being trackside at the Supercross, sat there munching your chips on your sofa, right next to the whoops or wherever you want to be. But they're definitely good for spectating. I think. I mean, maybe gaming if you're stood up and cutting around, but it's pretty hard to do. I think it's quite hard to first person. You just get sick if you try to first person somebody else's content with them.
Yeah.
You get the motion sickness thing's pretty big.
Yeah, and you can't move that much.
But I think as like a sports fan, I think being able to put these things on
and music, dude.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah,
imagine Tomorrowland or just something.
Well, you're just in your living room,
just fucking eating pingers. Pingers on your Vision Pro.
It's funny because it paints like I suppose it's just the modern world, slightly dystopian.
It is sad. It's like sad in a way.
Yeah, I don't know. There's good and bad sides to it all, isn't there? But I mean, I've often thought it'd be quite cool to have a setup where you could have, like listen to the same tunes. I suppose people do it gaming all the time, but listen to the same music with your friends having a beer, but they happen to be somebody's down in Australia, somebody's in Canada, but you're all in the same place having a like a bit of a, I don't know, like being in the pub.
Well, I think about doing this, man, in like 10 years' time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it will be crazy. Like imagine if you were just at your place in Scotland and you had your Vision Pro and there's the avatar. Like you've just got your avatar.
Yeah.
And it's like you're scanned, it's like what you look like, and you could be wearing whatever clothes you want, you could be wearing anything. And then it's like we've got it all built on our end so that when you put that on, you're just here. And then if I was looking at you through those now and it looked like this and the headphones it was coming through, like...
It's called The Matrix, I think.
We're not.
I know. It is. It's funny. I mean, it is all moving very fast, isn't it? It's, I don't know. But at least bikes and that will be there to go out and get a good dose of reality. Might actually get rid of my phone altogether for a wee while, or try to just, because I don't actually do that many productive things on it anyway. So I think I might just go out and ride my e-bike in the hills instead. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's, I think about it all the time, like just how the direction will go. And I think, like, we'll be fine, because we've had a taste of the real world. But how many kids, like if you have kids right now, like what the fuck is it going to be like for them?
I mean, I do find myself cruising down the freeways here, and thinking about this all being the old world, like our, I don't know, like say the equivalent of thinking not back to the 1920s or something. I don't know. You're kind of thinking, well, what's it going to, there's obviously going to be a big shift in the next sort of 15 years with tech and all that kind of stuff. And you're thinking, what's going to make this look so otherworldly? I mean, I'd say probably, you just don't know. You just don't know. I don't know, like the whole sort of generation stuff. So a little bit, there's certain things that come up and you're like, nah, probably better if that wasn't a thing. This kind of AI sort of content generation stuff. I kind of think it's going to force brands and companies. Like, I don't know how much we'll actually care, the consumer will care if something's been generated or if it's been shot, as say commercial-wise, all that kind of world. It's suddenly going to be like, well, it'd be way easier for us to generate a perfect commercial and we can make it exactly how we want. People, how they look like, all that stuff. So I think that's going to change a lot. I do think about how it will affect our sports of this sort of generation, if they're going to be able to, if you plug all my stuff, generate me a Danny MacAskill video doing this stuff. That's a bit different because, of course, I don't know. It just might affect how. I've had it for years where there's been often comments in videos that it's CGI, and it's been specific. I'm in the Bosch commercial. Actually, was the first thing I'd done recently where they had sort of CGI the background, but that wasn't like a proper. It wasn't there to make like a proper kind of new film. But I've been very kind of careful. Like say with Imaginate, I was really keen to make this giant big skirting board, this 11 foot height. But I was really keen. There was chat of even like in 2013 of CGing in the background and stuff like that. I was like, nah, we need to do this. I want to make sure that this is all done for real. Everything you're seeing is done for real kind of thing. So, but yeah, I think it's going to get weird when you don't know if what you're seeing is, we're kind of getting to that kind of blurred what is real and what's not.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be very healthy for folk to have the doubt in their mind.
Well, I saw a video yesterday. So I still have Facebook on my phone just because I never fucking use it. And I got rid of Instagram. And I found myself yesterday, I just literally did nothing yesterday because we've just had a big couple of weeks. So I was on Facebook and I watched a video and I was like, that's fucking crazy. And it was AI.
Yeah.
And it actually did, like, I looked at the comments and it was one of those ones where it was like, it looked real, but I'm like, this can't actually be real. And then I looked in the comments first, fucking AI. That was crazy to me that I was like, no.
Yeah.
And then I had to check.
But then it's going to be very difficult for, I suppose, without the kind of watermarks. You rely on the comments a bit. You're relying going down there.
Sure.
I had the same thing. I remember having it with I think it was a girl on Instagram or something that was like, whoa. Like the most striking person in almost ever. I was like, whoa, who's that? Clicked in the profile and then I read the little thing and it was like, this was a few years ago. It was some dude using like a kind of, I don't know, like a filter type thing. So this, so this person was like this old guy filtering himself with this sort of girl's avatar. I was like, that is the creepy. I was like, that. This was maybe like 3 years ago. I was like, wow, this is not what we need. Not what we need. Maybe
well, even like in the quote unquote real world, like you even think about the whole like transgender thing and like just there's a lot of people, like there's a lot of men that are being women and a lot of like the whole thing is getting weird. Like that's a whole nother conversation, but like it makes me wonder dude, like people, we're not really in like these groups where it's like, it's all this type of group getting married and having children with the same kind of group. Like everything's coming together. And over time, it's like, is there any of a traditional thing that we're used to anymore? Like, is there are we all just going to look like very tanned and very like you know what I mean? Like different over.
It is hard to. I mean, I suppose we're always changing. Everything's always changing. As I say, it's going to be interesting to see what makes this look like old.
Yeah.
Because you feel. I mean, of course, we are obviously right at the cutting edge of everything now, but who knows?
And
I mean, it's like, yeah, you could never really imagine what life, how, like if you told somebody in the 90s, you know, we're going to suddenly have all these social networks and we're all going to be, you know, I could imagine you could probably make some fairly confident calls of, I mean, there's a lot of good that's come from it. You could probably make quite a few confident calls that it was going to also really sort of mess with, I don't know, just mess with folk. So, yeah. So who knows? Who knows?
Well, you'll still be making bike videos.
Oh, skids and wheelies. Hopefully. So,
well, you think for what you're doing, some VR stuff would be pretty crazy. Like you would be able to give people a pretty mental experience.
Yeah, there's been a couple of things. Well, we did a project with a company, Pon, who bought Santa Cruz a few years ago. They have a really cool bike shop called Ride Out in Amsterdam, and for that they wanted to get like a simulator set up. So they sort of got a company to computer generate, like they took some of my GoPro footage that I'd done. One was from riding down this kind of path in the Coolins along this kind of ledge, and one was along this sort of 80-meter high bridge in Switzerland. And they put this bike on this kind of platform that moved with you, and you could pedal to go faster and stuff, and you wore goggles. So that was one thing. That was more like a kind of experience type thing. Obviously not something people are going to... It doesn't scale very well. But it was a really... it was pretty fun, although it gave you some pretty terrible motion sickness.
Yeah.
And then, like, I have thought about what I would like to do for VR. It's difficult. As I say, I think it works well as a spectator. You could be there, like Alex Honnold did a quick...
Yeah, like you could like look around and watch.
Otherwise, people are going to get motion sickness. So Alex Honnold, I think, did a cool project with... I can't remember what the filmmaker was called, but they put 360 cameras like on cliffside. So you basically almost... It would be like you'd be almost in a harness, like roped up, watching Alex like solo... Do you call it free solo? I don't know. Yeah, whatever.
Oh, yes. I know who.
So, Alex Honnold, famous climber.
Yeah.
And he's well known for...
the Dawn Wall documentary,
No,
right?
Dawn Wall's Tommy Caldwell.
Okay.
That's with rope. That was them sort of trying to get up a really hard climb, or free climb, which is basically climbing with ropes, but you're not allowed to like aid past hard parts, if you know what I mean. You have to do it all.
Yeah.
You're not to clip in, but you have to climb.
And then free solo is
like no ropes.
You're
just basic. So you'd be basically spectating Alex Honnold coming past you with no ropes on like some mad cliff. So I think that was quite cool.
What that's on.
I can't remember. I just remember. Sorry, I can't remember. I just remember seeing a piece about it on YouTube, and I thought that was quite cool. But it's difficult with the motion sickness stuff to kind of, don't know. Like if you're making, you try to imagine how would Hollywood use VR? Are there gonna be films that are made for VR?
I don't think
and that because you want your attention directed specifically
exactly.
So until they've managed to figure out, I think it's quite hard for us as action sports athletes. I mean, we can also think about it, and we can maybe be the clever ones to come up with like how to use it. But I think the spectator side of things, I thought that was like I've always thought that was a sort of quite an easy way of using it without making people sick.
Yeah.
And otherwise, it's probably easier just to sort of present people like, a nice piece on YouTube or on other platforms.
Yeah, because that's the thing is like, especially when you you make films, so it's like you are directing people's attention at various parts of the frame. And you do that with lighting, you can do that with focus, you can do that with movement, but it just wouldn't really translate.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that if there's a medium that I can imagine action sports, well, I mean, stuff like Supercross, of course, they've got live, curated live coverage. But I think I can imagine live becoming more prevalent. And it's hard to think what's more than what we've got today from most. And I think being able to go live, like live streaming a ride, live streaming, I feel it feels to me that there should be more of that.
Would in the future there just be like a bunch of virtual people sitting right there?
Yeah, well, it would make a lot of sense. I mean, obviously, live streaming a podcast would be fairly. I've never used
straightforward.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And
just to be able to sit there.
I was thinking more with like, what's it like to go, literally live stream your GoPro from, like Jet or some, I don't know, whatever racer, and they're just going practicing for the day, and you're just like, I see friends consume vlogs, but I think it's something even more so when it's actual. It's quite a difference when it's completely live, and you're literally, you can imagine bike shops having people going out for live rides and stuff. So
yeah, true.
And we've got the kind of tech there probably already to do it. It's the only thing. It's hard to imagine what's like. How can we possibly have more than what we've got today? It's like it's already pretty bananas. Certainly fairly mind blowing compared with 2009. That's for sure.
Come a long way.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's some of the projects have you got anything cool coming up this year that you can talk about? Or
yeah, as I say, I've got like a new house up in Scotland. I've moved in about a year ago, and
do you spend much time at home?
Yeah, quite a lot. I mean,
that's cool.
Yeah, I do. I'm purposely try and stay home quite a lot because it's what I enjoy doing the most. And to kind of, especially coming across to this neck of the woods, if I'm flying across the States, it usually has to be sort of bigger. Well, I usually come once a year to go and visit Santa Cruz bicycles. I always like to do that. But then to come across, it usually has to be some bigger work that draws me across the States. In Europe, I fly around quite a lot, but I would quite like to. I mean, in lockdown 2020, we were I was staying in like an Airbnb that had little kind of gravel driveway, and I bought 40 wooden pallets for the garden. And if I'm honest, it was some of my most productive, happiest times over there. I mean, it was terrible for folk that weren't able to move around, but I was lucky to have this space. And I thought, well, I was actually really productive with this stuff. Just build this up, kind of like Imaginate, or just have building blocks to be able to screw stuff together, go out there, tried 2 hours to get like an Instagram clip or whatever, and then I could go e-biking for the rest of the day. So I was like, well, may as well try to make that my life. So I bought a place about a year ago, and I would like to do a lot more of that style of thing, just so I can get on my e-bike as much as possible with my pals. So yeah, like I would. I don't know if I'll turn that into a full project. I kind of feel like I should, because that's what people know me for, but it'll mean I'll hide away for ages. If I work on a project, then I'll probably hide that content for a year, whereas I kind of might just keep it a little bit lower level and try to just drip feed some entertaining crashes and landed tricks. And then I've got some really cool concepts. There's one concept in particular. I don't like to give stuff away.
No.
But I've got one in particular that's like kind of a little bit Imaginate kind of style, or it's really
conceptual.
Yeah, and it's like not. Yeah, I'd love to put it in. Like what I've got in my head that I've been working on with a friend, Robbie Mead. Concept wise, like you just know, it's like. If people like the stuff I've done previously, it's like that is exactly what I should be doing next. That's all. It's like that's exactly. So I'm trying to kind of get the right brands together to kind of get that on the go. So hopefully start filming on that later this year. Hopefully. So yeah, and then just hard for me to look past my e-bike.
Would you do any content around the e-bike?
I've been doing some. Yes, I've been doing some like sort of episode-y type. Stuff for Santa Cruz bicycles. There's a few on there. I took Steve Pete for
what a legend.
I know. good friend of mine these days.
That'd be a pinch yourself kind of.
Oh
spoke
yeah,
about nostalgia.
yeah,
like.
exactly. I took him up to Skye last January 23, to kind of do one of my favorite e-bike rides on Skye where I'm from. Got like the most amazing day, drinking drams the whole way along. We had to hit flasks of all sorts. So every cane we get to, we'd have a wee dram. It's amazing. And then also did another one, just showing the scene. Kind of salty crew. Shout out to them because they'll watch this, I'm sure. The guys I ride with every day back in Inverness, I kind of did one revolving around that scene, and I just finished another one just again up in Scotland.
Is that all on your YouTube?
It's on Santa Cruz's.
Santa Cruz.
Yeah, Santa Cruz Bicycles YouTube. But they're just fun. It's not like I'm trying. I mean, we'll literally film in 2 days. But there's a few concepts I'd like to do on the e-bike. I'd like to. It's kind of hard to. It's hard to show the advantage. It's kind of hard to show the feeling that how good they are without actually. I don't know. I've kind of been struggling with that, and it's not so easy to do trials on them exactly. So it's it's easier if I was to do the same thing. It's kind of easier to do the trialsy kind of style stuff on the mountain bike. But I'll figure it out. I'd love to maybe go to some like volcanic islands and do some cool, just get some more beauty shot stuff. But I think people like to watch me do the more technical riding, so it'd be quite good to. I just need to find the right locations, basically. So,
yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that about COVID being just so productive. Like, I've always like Gypsy Tales, like that's the name comes from just being everywhere, all over, just doing as much as possible in as many random places and just like never know where you'll go kind of thing. Dude, COVID was just I felt the same way, just so insanely productive. Like the power, I really learned the power of saying no and just not doing a lot through that time, just way more than I ever would have thought. Like I would have thought if you told me before that just not going anywhere, staying home, locking in was going to be one of the most enjoyable times of your life, I would have told you were fucking crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I think, for me personally, I felt like up to 2009, everything was just kind of getting
just more and
cranking.
more and more.
Yeah, it's just like, everything was just sort of compounding. Whereas I think, luckily for myself, it just gave you time to step back. Obviously, e-bikes came in literally I got my first e-bike from Santa Cruz about 3 months before we went into full lockdown in Scotland, and I had all these hills that I was able to kind of go explore at the time as well. So I was very lucky. But I know for a lot of people, well, luckily for me, a lot of my friends all managed to have a kind of fairly productive time around that time. But of course, it wasn't like that for everybody. So I'm always kind of a bit careful.
No, I know. Yeah, but I mean, a lot of that you can't control. You just can't control.
No, totally. But I'm also kind of like, I had the best time of my life in 2020, but I can't. But it was just mad. It shows you that kind of, I don't know, things can happen that kind of bring the world to or change it that quickly, But
well, and I think that there's like a lesson from it too. Like I wrote in my journal this year, like harness the power of no. Like that's one of my New Year's resolutions because I just think you can just get so caught up in like bigger, better. Everything's got to be more money, more this, more travel, more fucking projects, more. I'm just like, no, I'm fucking done.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
just keep the main thing, slow and steady, methodical progress. So at least for me, it's like there's a lesson. There was like a lot of lessons in that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've always been quite the sort of reasonably decent saying no, but trouble is you say no to 9 things and the 10th one is like, well, I can't. Yeah. That was like, you can't turn that one down. So,
but they're the ones you should wait for.
Yes, but then
it's there's what's the book? I can't remember the book it's from, but it's like it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no.
Oh yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Dude, it's so. And the 10th one is a fuck yes.
Yeah.
All the other ones might just be yeses, and I think that's another I don't know. That's like a powerful way to look at it, and it's like if it ain't fuck yes, it's fuck no.
Yeah, that's good. That is good.
And so, how long are you in LA for, or how long till you?
Here till the 18th, but I'm going to go down and see my sister. She lives down in the north of San Diego.
Oh, awesome.
So,
Beautiful spot.
Yeah, so she's been there for like 18 years. So every time I'm over, I try to head down there to hang out. Hopefully I'll make it down there in one piece.
Yeah.
I say I've been
really pushing.
No, well, yeah, like not pushing hard, but I've turned up there with like 2 separate broken collarbones different times, a broken kneecap.
Dude, that's the worst.
But it turned up in like a back corset from a back operation over here as well. So, more often than not, I think I've turned up with some flipping splint or cast. So hopefully I'll get down there and be able to get in and out of the spare room bed easy enough this time.
Have you got any plans tomorrow morning?
Yes, we are. I'm also over here. We've got like a new brand.
Plug the brand, bro.
Yeah.
Plug the brand.
Oh yeah, we've got a new brand starting up called Cast, making kind of components and tires.
Is that?
I actually don't know if the website's actually been launched yet. That'd be quite an interesting. Should be. I don't know if I think the website's still to kind of get all sorted. So we're kind of going into some local bike shops here and talking to them. So it's quite good. It's a bit more hands-on.
Yeah.
Cool to kind of meet the owners and whatnot. So that'll be like handlebars, grips, tires. I've got tires for my 24-inch trials bike, and we might have some other stuff like that coming out soon as well. So yeah, sick. So doing that. So tomorrow morning, I think I'm going to be going into bike shops.
Oh.
And then I've got to do a photo shoot while I'm here as well. So
what about Thursday, Friday?
I will have to see. Basically, I'm going to go down. I want to at least see my sister for a couple of days.
Oh.
So yeah, you keen to ride?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do it. Yeah, it'd be sick. It would be good. I mean, yesterday managed to. As I said,
that's a good crew.
Yeah. Yeah, Laguna was good. Like Hans Ray will be back in town as well. So it was weird riding Laguna trails without him.
Yeah, I bet.
So yeah, I'd be keen for a ride. So
and then
so,
what dates? Oh, you would leave on the day of Supercross. Round 2's in San Diego.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Sick. Yeah, no, I'm away back home. Away back to Scotland, snowy Scotland.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Beautiful place in the world to go back
Oh
to.
yeah. Oh, it's good. I mean, honestly, I just can't. I mean, I was lucky to get to ride here, but it's not been the same. Like I've literally riding pretty much like 2 batteries every day back home. So
that is awesome, dude.
Love it. Yeah. Can't complain. That's for sure. So.
Well, if we can get a ride in, I've got a few things on this week that I can't get out of, but if it lines up, be sick to just I'm sharing the e-bike.
Well, yeah, that's good. I'm stoked to hear it.
So it's taboo. It's taboo with some people.
I mean, anyway, it's into. I mean, of course, there'll be so many listeners to this that are, gas powered. I don't know what you say, on the motorbike side, but gosh, the e-bikes they're a good way of having, something in between that you don't have to drive to, or if you're lucky to have right on your doorstep, open access ish. It depends. In the States, it's a little bit more restricted, isn't it?
Yeah, a little.
Well, or there's often like.
Well, even
spots.
Laguna, they were you can't ride top of the world with it. It's like, it's not doing anything different.
Yeah.
Like, what is it doing that's different to this?
Totally. It's just new, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just
I just think, like I said before, it's just so tied to people's egos.
Yeah.
Like, even, I had my name. It was actually, this was like the cliche e-bike thing, right? So I had a guy, I was washing my dirt bikes in like my garage. I got like fucking 5 dirt bikes and 2 mountain bikes in my garage. So it's packed and it's too obvious. And so I'm like washing a couple bikes, and then my neighbor rides across and he's like, hey mate, like I always see your garage open, and I see you got some mountain bikes, and if you ever want to come for a ride. And he's like, dude, he was like chewing my ear off about his rides and the trails and this. And I was like, sweet, you got e-bikes? And he's like, I just sucked the life out of it. And he was like a 60-year-old dude, like he's a kind of an older guy. Yeah. I just sucked the life out of this dude. He's like, no, I haven't made the switch yet. No, me and all, no. And I was like, well, that ain't me.
Give it a couple of years.
Yeah, I was like, that ain't me, brother. And then we saw him. That was the old guy that we saw on the trail the other day. And he came up. We were all just talking. All of us have. I don't ride with anyone that doesn't have an e-bike. And he's coming up. He's like, there you go, mate. He's like, oh, good.
Yeah, definitely maybe split friends groups for a while until like, I don't know. It's everybody, each their own.
And get a downhill bike.
Yeah, I know.
Fort William, just start lapping it.
Fort William, I just don't like, I think it's maybe from the street side of things, my street trials mentality where I'm basically making my own fun all the time. Whereas I find the idea of going to Fort William to get a gondola, to ride a track, not that, because I'm totally uncompetitive, but I know I'm probably going to also ride it fairly shitly and probably hammer my bike like hell down that track because it's so rough. I'd just rather go ride my e-bike somewhere that nobody else is and kind of find my own, things. So
you're a backcountry guy.
Yeah. I hate queuing for a thing, or just again, it comes from always doing riding that it's just always been my own thing. Like I'm not used to doing sports or things that other people are doing as much. I've always kind of just enjoyed that side, and I feel like the e-bikes really allow you to kind of go and find your own zones and make your own fun. So,
last little question. We've been doing this with some of the moto guys recently, and I'm interested on the mountain bike side. Who is on your mountain bike Mount Rushmore? You got 4 spots.
4 spots. Oh goodness. Of course, got Hans. He's got to be up there. It's for me. I suppose the trials riders have really had the biggest impact on me. It's hard to miss if it's only 4 folk. It'd be like Hans Ray, Martin Ashton, Chris Ackrig, and the last one, probably Steve Pete, I think. It's very, I think that's it's hard, got to get somebody from the downhill in there. And Pete's had such a huge influence in the downhill world, especially, of course in the UK, but globally, kind of flown the flag well. So I'd say that would be my kind of Mount Rushmore crew.
It's pretty solid Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. Ackrig's had a huge influence on me, of course, if you see my kind of riding, especially on the mountain bike stuff. And still to this day, he's still, if you want to see some cool progressive riding on an e-bike, he's about the only, apart from somebody who's just slaying sort of trails on the mountain bike. On the e-bike. But he's like able to kind of really, use it technically very, very well. And it's not until you get on one, you realize how hard it is to do that. So, yeah. So that'd be it.
That's solid. Well, dude, this has been awesome. I'm so glad we got to do it.
Yeah, it was class. Thanks for having me on.
I really wanted to do it the last trip. And, I'm stoked about it happen. So
awesome.
Next thing, just have a ride. And if I ever, I want to come back to Scotland.
Oh, well, if you ever do, got e-bikes in the shed for you. So.
Dude, I would love that. So it's just, I don't know whether it's because it's where my family comes from, but fuck, that place is just
class.
Yeah, special.
Awesome.
Appreciate it, bro.
Cheers, man.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.